Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod's Turnbuckle Time Machine, Episode 2. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, everybody's favorite podcast host, Salt of the Earth, Dave Olinovich.
You changed it up?
I'm thinking I'm going to do different ones for the Turnbuckle Time Machine.
That's good.
So it doesn't get...
Do you mean that, though? Did you talk... Everyone said it? I'm everyone's favorite?
I mean... Everyone I've ever met.
Yes. At least in my own family.
It's weird. They come up even.
Yeah.
They don't even know that I work with you on this, and people just approach me that I have no idea how they have any connection to you whatsoever, and they're just like, you know something? That Dave Olinovich is my favorite podcaster.
Poor bastards.
I apologize in advance. You probably can hear my voice is not so hot, and also for missing our regularly scheduled Blue Thunder Pod last week. It will be back up and running this week. Had a little bout of the household COVIDs, so I was out of commission, and try to keep my energy levels up and excited for you guys. I think this should be a fun one, though. Today we are talking about, by special request, shout out Sam, Halloween Havoc, a 95, historically one of the considered one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. WCW Halloween Havoc 95 took place on October 29th of 1995 in Detroit, beautiful Detroit, Michigan, at the Joe Louis Arena. Mostly at the Joe Louis Arena.
Mostly, yeah.
What was the Cobo Hall?
Cobo.
So
which is right next door.
Another special attraction part of the show is. Took place at the Cobo Hall. So at both Joe Louis and the Cobo Hall. 13,000 fans in attendance, 7,000 paid. So that's
half the
lot
arena.
of goddamn comps. They did 120,000 pay-per-view buys. So
right.
it's WCW from this era is so freaking confusing.
Well, it's 95.
That's a good pay-per-view number, but you had to give away 6,000 tickets.
Yeah. I wonder what capacity in that place is.
I think they were
light.
at capacity
for the whole building.
At least, when watching it,
I'd be curious. It looked great. Yeah. How they shot it looked great.
I don't know how you find that many people to give tickets away to.
No,
because most people, if you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna go buy a ticket, and I'm not going to a show because I can't afford $40 or whatever. I don't think most people are doing that.
Well, it's the whole. I remember WWF did this where. If you went to Taco Bell, they gave you a ticket to the Royal. I think it was 90. It was the year. This is off the top of my head, so I could be wrong, but I think it's the 97. When was it in the Astrodome? When did Shawn Michaels fight Psycho Sid? Was that 7? 97? 6?
I want to say 6. 96.
He won it in 6. He won it in 95 and 96. So I think Austin was around hot shit by 98.
Yeah, 13 was 98.
We both have internet computers right in front
Mine's
of us.
kind of far away.
Royal Rumble.
13 was Austin HBK.
It was 1997.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But they gave away tickets at Taco Bell for that to just pad the seats. So, that's if you go to Vegas, they got people just giving away tickets to whatever because they want the room to look halfway decent.
I wish AEW would give away tickets to fill that. Actually, it's sold out again this week, I guess, which good sign.
Yeah.
Takes a long time for that shit to turn around, but but if they ever and I like the new ticketing plan way better. I wish they would drop the ticket prices a week ahead of time instead of 2 days ahead of time.
Yeah,
because they're unreasonably expensive before that. I would like them to just give seats away for the hard cam side because when Will Ospreay does his Ospreay thing and everybody else. It's not the same when they're going to the hard cam side if they don't have a full house or at least a full lower bowl.
Right.
It was really nice seeing last week the full house, and I haven't watched the show yet tonight, but again it was supposedly it was a full 8,000 or something.
Right. I also have not watched the show. I'm a little behind on current wrestling. It's really fun watching this old stuff. Yeah.
Same thing. I watched I've been watching more old stuff, not just the stuff that we're covering
for the show.
Yeah. Because I'll watch something that'll make me think of it, oh shit, that guy was this. Let's go find out what that is.
Well, also too with this particular pay-per-view, you can't it's fun as a standalone.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where I don't know if my logic with continuity and episodic storytelling making sense week to week stands the test of time, because this show, this Halloween Havoc show, was loaded with continuity and episodic storytelling, and I had no fucking clue what was going on for some of it.
Let me ask you, what did you think of the show in general?
It was better than I expected.
Absolutely.
It was
I don't think it's in the top 10 worst pay-per-views of all time.
Not even a little bit. I think
maybe the worst finish ever. But
everything Hulk Hogan touched, I think, dropped this down dramatically. But everything else was, man, it was fine.
Like there were like aughts, WWE pay-per-views in the aughts that I would watch by your brother's house.
Yeah.
Regularly that were less entertaining than this show was.
Yes.
Well, not a ton of great wrestling on here, but at least there was stuff going on. And like you said, I was able to infer a lot of the story stuff.
They also had video packages. Some of it was
the one was like
comically long,
was like crazy. It was like 30 minutes.
It was
long.
a small novel, but to their credit, I'm really glad they told me everything going on, because
dude, I'm telling you, 88 to 95, 96 WCW. Go check that shit out.
Yeah,
like it's good.
Yeah, it's becoming on my radar, or being put on my radar more and more, especially since the Sting retirement match. I'm like realizing I know Sting as the anemic guy that beat Hulk Hogan on Nitro, and then you go watch a pay-per-view like this, you're like, motherfucker, Sting was pretty good.
Sting, that's my biggest takeaway from watching all these old things. I'm like, that dude's like one of the best athletes
He
that's ever
was
wrestled.
tremendous. We'll get to the match, but
gorilla pressing people, but also doing like cross bodies off the top rope to the outside and shit.
I loved it.
Like, goddamn, Sting.
Loved it, yeah.
Guess I should have been watching WCW.
Yeah.
It just got so bad in 98, 99 that it was
just
like
the presentation was not the hottest, and whatever.
Tony Schiavone here to kick the show off. They love doing this in WCW. Mentions that and Bobby the Brain, that's his partner, by the way. Thank God. They let us know that Ric Flair was attacked by either Brian Pillman and Arn Anderson in the back.
Yeah.
Prior to the show. They love telling you about somebody getting hurt in the back prior to the show with no footage.
Right.
It's like,
but it was storytelling, and it paid off later in the show. And I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it either.
Also, Bobby Heenan's,
it's just something that they go back to the well on a lot.
We said it last week, how good Bobby Heenan is. He's making current announcing look unbearable.
We'll get to it, but the selling he was doing about his friend's son was like legitimately upsetting.
Yeah,
like, it was
tough, and like it was plausible. And I'm trying to imagine watching this in 1995 before you have a subsequent 05, 15, 20, roughly 30 years of wrestling.
Yeah.
So like where this probably crushed in 1995.
100.
Because
for me, it crushed today.
Yeah. But that's the point.
You're right, though. I don't think there's a close second. Like,
for
like
announcing?
the gap between second place and like 30th place is it's closer than the gap between first and second.
Yeah. He's on another level.
Goddamn crazy.
And no headsets or if headsets, he's making it sound exactly like Bobby Heenan talking.
And it's with everybody. It's with Gorilla Monsoon. It was with Schiavone.
Yeah.
It was with Macho Man Randy Savage and Jim Ross last week. Like, it doesn't matter.
They're hanging from the columns.
Amazing.
What really quickly, just because I wrote it word for word, how the show opened.
Yeah.
Because the show opened with
pretty cheesy.
Oh my God! It was like I was watching like an Elvira special on like some free television.
Do you think they were going for that? I kind of get the feeling that might be like,
if they were, mission accomplished, because that's the vibe I got. But the voiceover was great. Because the whole pay-per-view is built around Hulk Hogan versus the Giant, not only in a wrestling match, but also in a sumo monster truck.
I keep saying Sumo Monster Truck like it's a thing that exists. Like, it's just a Sumo Monster Truck. You know, like there is.
No.
You just fucking made that. Eric Bischoff made that word up.
Yeah.
20 minutes ago. Stop saying it, like dropping it into conversation. Like it's a normal thing to say.
Also, sumo wrestlers are not tethered together.
No, they're not.
A sumo wrestler strap match. But to open the show, it comes in from black, and you got the dope voiceover. He says, 2 demons have emerged. The Giant, he has a Jones for destruction. A Jones for destruction.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
His first match here, I was kind of shocked by that.
Yeah, and he looked good, and I'm excited to get to it. His motorcycle smashing, back cracking, bone crunching, neck choking rampage has opened the ghastly gate for the man who could not stay down. WCW World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan has crossed over to the dark side to take on the evil powers in their own eerie world.
It certainly was the 90s.
Shudder.
I super love.
Oh, I'm halfway through it.
Oh, so go on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Shudder to think about the monster trucks. Wait. Shudder to think about the monster trucks locked up in a sumo-style showdown. If survival is possible, they will then be hauntingly close when they see each other eye to eye inside the fortress called the Ring.
Somebody wrote this and thought it was the greatest thing they've ever.
It was, and then they go to the roof immediately, and they're already in the monster trucks, but they're like. It reminded me of that South Park episode where Randy Marsh is like, "You want to go, bro?"
Yes, exactly.
And they're just like circling in the courtyard. They're just like taunting each other with monster trucks.
It's so silly. It's so silly. I kind of want to go back and watch like how did we get here?
Coming at me, bro. What you come at me, bro? Oh, it was the worst.
Not like monster trucks were ever the biggest thing in the world. Like,
no,
I don't know what the fuck they got.
Like it had a place like in the early 90s. I remember like I knew
Bigfoot was around.
And we shouldn't know who Bigfoot is. Like we shouldn't know the names of monster trucks.
That's the most famous one.
That's
and they made
Gravedigger.
Gravedigger too, yeah.
It's like how the Globetrotters fought the Generals. Like I don't know a third team in that league. Like those are the only two monster trucks, but good Lord.
I gotta say, this was the first time Hogan, like, when he had to go to that place, he came out and dressed in all black, and I was like, oh shit, it's 1995. All you gotta do is wear black, and you're showing everybody because the death of Superman just happened.
No shit, is that?
And yeah,
whoa.
And Superman came back and was like a badass evil guy in his black outfit, and then every trope for every TV show and wrestling and comic book and stuff was like, come back wearing your regular stuff, but it's black this time.
Huh. I wonder if the goatee had a similar, like, because
it had to.
Yeah, like alternate universe evil version of you as a goatee.
It eventually became a joke, but yes, it was a real thing.
South Park, Evil Cartman had a goatee.
But but Star Trek, the evil Spock had a goatee.
There you go.
Very earnestly. There were some kick-ass dark matches on here, by the way.
Yes. There were a bunch.
Eddie Guerrero against Disco Inferno. I'm not a huge disco guy, but, he's a good hand.
Very serviceable.
Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
This one, Chris Benoit and Stinko Malenko versus the Blue Bloods, which would be William Regal and Bobby Eaton. Like, holy Christ. That was probably the match of the night on this card.
I mean, half of that main evented a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Shortly after. We can't find it anywhere, though. Like, it's just not listed on any of the WrestleManias. Yeah. You got to search real hard.
Weird.
Real hard for it. Something terrible happened.
Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, versus the Renegade, which was the Ultimate Warrior ripoff.
With the big
that
R.
one you could have skipped. I think.
Big R.
It was so stupid. Why did they think for a little while that like pretending or having a knockoff version of another wrestler was like a thing that could possibly work?
Because it technically did. Because the Warrior was a knockoff of the Road Warriors. He was the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, but like.
Maybe, I mean, but that's like...
It wasn't a direct knockoff. He was like fucking thought he was a god, and he would speak in such crazy-ass terms.
You're right.
Warriors was just like bad motherfucking bikers.
Right.
From
the characters
Southside.
The characters were different, but like the germ of the idea came from Vince wanted his own
the Dingle Warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimate Warrior. I love that Sting so many times said Darby Allin's my best tag team partner of all time because he tagged with Warrior for like 5 years.
It would have been a heel move to say the Warrior was better than Darby Allin.
Oh, yeah. No.
Sting, good guy, undefeated good guy Sting can't be going heel.
Sting knows his wrestling. Yeah. Like, you can't get as good as he got.
Absolutely not.
The first match of the evening, and like I said, I'm a little under the weather, so if I miss anything or there's something you want to hop in on,
I got you, boo.
Feel free.
Got you, boo-boo.
But I got some thoughts on this one, particularly on... the first competitor in the first match, the kickoff match of the show, Johnny B. Bad, Mark Marrow doing Little Richard impersonation versus Diamond Dallas Page with the Diamond Doll, who's Kimberly Page, who is far too good for Diamond Dallas Page.
Jesus Christ,
she's absolutely gorgeous.
Doing the Ty Dillinger bit.
Diamond Dallas looks like the day manager I had the like third shittiest strip club in like Toledo.
That tracks.
Yeah,
It tracks.
Should not have had Kimberly. Although he, a lot more success later on. So,
Right.
um,
Who was he with too? There was another guy.
Max
something or-
Muscle. So then I looked him up. He's like, oh, maybe he became no. It was like Max Muscle, and then also like Maximilian Muscle and M Muscle. Whereas three, I don't know if he
Muscle,
was
comma,
a wrestler or what, but he was kind of a waste. The Johnny B. Bad thing, I just want to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
Because actually, by this point, you could kind of tell, especially in the promo afterwards, like Mark Marrow, he's an Italian guy. He never thought it was like a great idea to like essentially do blackface. He didn't have to do blackface. He just tanned. He was like a real, olive tone dude.
Right.
But they made him talk like Little Richard,
Yeah.
who very clearly is a black man.
Absolutely.
Mark Marrow being awesome put so much into it that like even though people didn't necessarily buy it, like looking back I'm like, yeah, it was pretty solid. Like it's a terrible gimmick, but it's solid because he put so much of himself into it.
Yeah.
That I felt like a character. The side note I had was the Vince McMahon, one of the what he calls one of his very few mistakes or wishes was that he wished he could have come up with the character of Johnny B. Bad. So like Vince's one dream was like coming up with a racist character before anybody else did.
He also wanted a Mighty Mouse character forever.
Yeah.
And he also commits federal crimes.
He does. Yeah.
So his ideas are not
essay, as the kids call it. But then eventually Johnny B. Bad left WCW, signed with WWE, but then when he got there, I don't know what Vince thought he was going to do. He got there and he's like, oh shit, well I can't use your old gimmick because it was WCW. Like,
yeah.
Shit, dude. So he just made him like a generic boxer and then stole his wife.
Before that, he was the Wild Man.
Yeah,
he was introduced,
which would work better for him because he's got.
But he looked like
energy.
all feral and like, I'm the Wild Man. I'm gonna get you.
But basically, once Creepo saw his wife, it was over. Like,
yeah, he had a habit of that.
Yeah,
he did the same thing with Chris Candido as well.
With Tammy?
Oh, I mean,
he did make her the star.
Yeah, and also like she was like not quietly hooking up with the champion of the promotion,
and said champion insinuated she was also hooking up with Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, sunny days. But Mark Marrow, now that you're mentioning it, he was gone shortly after this. So October, when WrestleMania 12 was, what, 4, 5, 6 months later, something like that?
And you can tell because he's toned down drastically, the talking like Little Richard.
There is no semblance of that.
Just says, I'm a bad man, which is like the only carryover.
Yeah.
And that's not even like a racist thing.
No.
It's
Johnny B. Bad.
It's too bad. Like
two D's in bad.
This match was pretty good, I thought.
It was, I think it could have cut down by...
It was too long. Yeah.
How much... I wrote it down somewhere. 30% of the match was rest holds. So it was roughly 6 minutes.
Again, we're 95.
Right. But this did not need to be a, what would it end up being? 17
too long.
17-minute match.
Hey, what's crazy, and if you want to do a little bit of interesting research, go back and watch DDP and the stuff he was doing at like 94 and 93. And you would look at that man and think there's no chance this person's ever going to make it in wrestling whatsoever. He was just managing. And he was managing doing god awful like catchphrases. Good God, he kept saying "Good God" all the time, and he just seemed like skeevy, like Paul Heyman hanger-on kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then by 95, like he's putting together pretty solid matches.
Yeah.
And by 96, 97, some of the best matches they have on TV.
Oh yeah, and then he's going to be in one of the best feuds in wrestling with Savage.
Sarah? Oh, Savage.
Who'd you say,
I
Sarah?
thought you were talking about the Undertaker bullshit that Vince did to him.
Sarah with no H.
Yeah.
Sarah. Yeah, the match was good for when it was a match.
Yeah.
And I think what made it more entertaining is, and again, I think this is why rest holds were so effective back then.
Sure.
Is because these guys can do bursts of energy, bursts of cool little things, bring the crowd back down, and then just like spike them back up.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
The other thing I was thinking about after last week, we were talking about it, all these guys in this era in the 80s were just on average way bigger than wrestlers. There's still big wrestlers, obviously, but on average,
Talking about size wise, like jacked and stuff.
Yeah, they were way, and you can't have that great of cardio. Like if you're that huge, there's some freaks like Brian Cage or whatever, but like
for the
almost
most
everybody was a giant slab of meat back then. So that's probably why a lot of rest holds happen.
Fair.
And even for the people that didn't need them, well, if that's the culture, if that's the way that we're learning how to do wrestling matches, it's probably why that happened all the time.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, my notes were like exactly what your guys. Pretty good match. They wore their working boots, but maybe a little long.
Yeah.
Talked about the Johnny B. Made.
I loved how it started. They did some clever stuff on this show, which again, for the reputation it has as being one of the worst pay-per-views ever.
Yeah.
Some of the matches are just like it's the Steiner match from WrestleMania last week that we were talking about. It's like, where the fuck is this? They don't talk about this.
Yeah.
So they start the match where DDP comes out, and then someone does a pump fake. They come out with the Johnny B. Bad big old Macho Man cape, and he's not showing his face.
It was a little strange.
Yeah.
They never show.
they never show his face, and I'm not sure if he ever did that before or if that's his buddy and they don't say, but Johnny B. Bad jumps over the guardrail, attacks DDP, and then they fight to the outside. They fight in the crowd. I did like that Johnny B. Bad found a random rusty ass spit bucket in the crowd, just sitting in the front row, and he puts it on DDP's head.
I wonder if that was foreshadowing to his boxer gimmick that he was going to have in about 3 years.
You're giving wrestling a lot of credit here.
You're right. This is an AEW. They wouldn't be that
for having the foot. Well, AEW, if that was the case, they wouldn't pay off the bucket until 2036.
Yeah, probably.
There is slow storytelling, and then there is AEW storytelling. One thing I was mentioning before how the Giant and Hulk Hogan were kind of do-si-doing at the top of the building. They do mention in this. Right in this match, they go, Hogan and the Giant were told to get out of their trucks. So that was 7 minutes of playing chicken, and they just inject that as we're supposed to. I
forgot to mention pre-match, Johnny B. Bad was in the back being interviewed by Mean Gene, and he was apologizing because he had car trouble.
I'm going to review the entire damn thing.
Okay, go for it. Because his line in that is just absolutely wonderful. His delivery.
I guess we'll do that now. But I was praising the video packages, so I actually knew what was going on. So, and the guy that does it has the quintessential 1990s announce voice.
He was like the Transformers commercial guy or something.
It's very good. He does have the little Optimus Priminess to him. But so they show a video package. They show WCW Saturday Night Recap where Johnny B. Bad beat Flying Brian, not Flying Brian Pillman. He's just Flying Brian. At Fall Brawl to earn.
I remember that. I think I remember him being just
Flying Brian.
For a while.
By the way, Dolph Ziggler should give half his fucking check to Brian Pillman for learning how to bump.
They should do DNA tests with Lexus King and Dolph Ziggler because I think they may have been switched at birth.
My God, it's just like the protege, quintessential. This is how you bump and make everybody look good. Guy.
Been so huge.
Oh,
too bad.
My Lord. So Johnny B. Bad beat Flying Brian at the Fall Brawl to earn a United States title shot. United States champ right now is Sting. And Sting goes out on WCW Saturday night. Johnny B. Bad's music plays, and he does not show. So they push them. They're so polite. They push the match back to later in the show to give him an opportunity to get there. It was so cordial. Still no Johnny B. Bad. So Pillman gets the shot instead, which makes sense. Yeah. It does.
Yeah. It's kind of like rankings.
Yeah,
like the next guy out.
It wasn't just some random. It's like, this guy was second. Johnny B. Bad shows up at the end of the show, and he's in regular clothes, and he's got a bunch of obvious grease on his face.
Oh, Jesus
because he's been in because he's had car trouble.
I know. Yeah, I'm saying Jesus Christ.
It was right away. I'm like, that's not what dirt looks like. Also, why would you be so dirty? And he says he had some car trouble. That's why he didn't make his matches plural. He had a flat tire. DDP walks in from off camera with what was his name, Max Muscle.
Yeah.
And DDP, he's chastising Johnny B. Bad for missing his match. And DDP says, since he's the TV champ, it should have been him getting the match instead. And then DDP asks Max Muscle what he thinks about it. And Max Muscle slips that they caused all four tires to get slashed. And Mark Marrow's or Johnny B. Bad, I never said there were 4 tires that were slashed.
4 flat tires. I said 1 flat tire. Like, the top of his head almost blew off.
And that set up a pay-per-view TV title match.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I don't hate it. Like,
Me
it
neither.
was actual.
I was fired up for the
It
match.
was storytelling.
Yeah.
And then when Johnny B. Bad came out, like, I'm like, oh, this is what I would do if I was pissed off that somebody slashed my tires and cost me a title
I don't need
shot.
the story to be Shakespeare.
No.
Just give me a reason
Give me
why
a reason.
I should care about these two fighting.
And he came out and he looked as pissed as he should have been.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, everything tracked correctly. I couldn't believe
like I said,
it.
Very
couldn't
good match.
fucking believe it.
I think the only drawback is it was 1995 and like they have to do a bunch of rest holds.
Absolutely.
Because of the era.
Kimberly does the 10 card. I did it like that a lot.
Yeah.
She did the what is he now? Sean Spears, like where he holds up the card, the 10 card. Kimberly Page was doing that.
Kimberly was the best of them. Of the Nitro, I think.
She's cool. She's stunning. Like, you see people that are like attractive, and then you see people that are like
she would like make
goddamn.
me feel nervous in real life.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to look at her.
hitting on her or anything.
No.
I would just be like, oh God, I don't know how to talk.
No, how's hot?
There's not too many people.
Hi.
Not too many women that can do that.
Yeah, man, DDP got her, and he looks like that.
I guess she must have saw something.
Yeah.
Like what's the Gold Digger, the Kanye song.
Yeah.
When he's watching, watch him. But she is a white girl, so he would not have left her ass for a white girl. But she must have noticed his drive.
Well,
and
he had that nice
passion.
pink Cadillac, so like start there.
And then eventually he saved everybody's life.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah, they did a bunch of cool old wrestling marks or stuff in this match. Like DDP uses his wrist tape to choke Johnny B. Bad. I'm like, I haven't seen that in a while. I kind of like that.
MJF against CM Punk when I was there live.
He did it too.
He's the garage. Yeah,
he studies.
Yeah,
he studies. That's why he does shit like that. DDP. I forgot that DDP has a dope spot, the Diamond Dream, where it's a hip toss that gets reversed into a DDT.
Yeah, I don't really remember him doing that much in the later years, but it looked awesome.
It looked fucking awesome. Hip toss into a power slam. Mark Merrow did that on DDP.
Yeah.
Just like, again, because of all the rest holds, all these cool moves shine in a match like this. So it's cool. What did not shine though was the finish of them.
Yeah,
it sucked. We're praising it so high, and the match, the finish was just fucking.
They struggled with finishes throughout this show. Woof. I mean, at least Johnny Bad is your new TV champ, which I made me kind of happy. I think he deserved it.
Sure, on his way out of the company, but Max Muscle goes to clothesline Johnny B. Bad. DDP's holding Johnny B. Bad in a full Nelson, and just as Max Muscle's about to clothesline him, Johnny B. Bad moves, and Max Muscle clotheslines DDP, which. It was apparently it was a devastating enough attack too.
It was evidently he's Stan Hansen. Nobody told us that he was Stan Hansen.
No, DDP sold it like he was a Marx brother. Like his legs just go up completely. But not for nothing. For as boring as long of a match it was, like I left, I'm like I'm entertained.
Yeah, I was shocked because I'm like I'm going in expecting. I never watched this pay-per-view before.
Right.
I've watched other video essays and stuff, people bitching about it, talking about, laughing about it, like worst pay-per-view ever. This first match happened, and I'm like,
I'm not sure.
I don't even know if the worst pay-per-view ever could have a match this good on it.
Look at that guy. We just saw a spider enter the studio. He's not welcome. No ticket. Gotta leave, sir. They threw it to Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan next, where they are hyping up the Giant. This is the first, you had mentioned earlier that this is the first time we're going to see the Giant wrestling in a ring.
I love that they're still referring to him as Andre's son at this point.
And they gave him the singlet because if you are Andre the Giant's son, you can only wear what Andre the Giant wore.
Of course. Even though he looks nothing like Andre
Not
the
even
Giant.
close. Not even close. And then at this point, they clarify they're really the amount of truck hype that they do throughout this show to make me try to care.
Sumo Monster Truck, Dave.
Excuse me. Sumo Monster Truck, brand new term.
No, it's not new. It's been around forever. Everybody knows it. Sumo Monster Truck.
I'll do better.
That's how they
I'll
definitely like presented it to us.
I will study. I will study the history of sumo wrestling. This is the first.
Sumo wrestling's more fun.
Sumo Monster Truck wrestling.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. But they clarified that the trucks are going to be hooked together, bumper to bumper. And then they have to say that both men have no experience with this.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
No shit. Who has experience with this?
Yeah, 14 years. I used to freelance as
I don't know shit.
monster truck driver, as a sumo monster truck competitor.
But like, I'm not a car guy, but if the point is to just rev your engine as hard as you can, isn't the winner just the guy whose engine doesn't die first?
I think because it's manual, and I can't drive manual, so
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that's a big part of it. Like if you slip gears, then you get knocked back.
I see.
So there is a skill to
Oh.
it. If you watch Hogan, he was actually doing it pretty good. Like,
well, the guy driving the car was doing a good job.
Well, there are two drivers, and Hogan did have the gear shift. This is like the front two tires and the back two tires.
Sure.
That's historically that's what monster trucks. I looked at.
I think you're.
This sounds like bullshit, but then Hogan looked so goddamn gleefully happy when he was doing it. I'm like, maybe he really is doing this thing. It's
did
wrestling, of course, so I assumed they're not even in the truck.
I'm just annoyed that I have to give credence to wait. Like I have to be like, oh yeah, that does make sense. I have to like acknowledge there's something positive about this fucking dumb
that
gimmick.
Hogan is
like
an
integral part of it. They do say Bobby Heenan says something really funny. He's like, one car can drag the other car over the roof if they do lose, and you're like, oh yeah. Who thought this was a good idea that you can kill 4 people at once? But
Bobby Heenan was probably looking dead in Eric Bischoff's eyes when he said that.
Yeah,
like, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, just that did feel like, hey, let's call out everything inconsistent about this
wildly dangerous
live
for no
on
reason.
television.
Nobody wants it.
I was so excited for you. I don't know why specifically, but when I saw what the next match was, because I forgot who the Zodiac was.
Me too. I knew the body type when I saw it, though.
Right
I'm like,
away.
Oh, that's fucking Bart Simpson.
Brother
dumbass.
Brutai.
Yeah, Brother Brutai. But he's part of the Dungeon of Doom now. So he's the Zodiac. It's Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Zodiac, which is Brutus the Barber.
Did you see that?
Did your 2 in a row shows now we've gotten where Kamala was supposed to be on the program, and Kamala was supposed to lose to Randy in this match, and he refused to do the job, so they fired him and replaced him with Zodiac.
Who was
Zebra. It's Brutus the Barber dressed as a zebra, trying to do like a crazy face.
Which is
it's so silly.
I don't. He's from they announced him as from the land of Yin and Yang.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It was all stupid.
But if Savage won, they did it. So this was when it started to get squirrely. If Savage wins and Lex Luger, who fights later, wins, then they will fight later. I don't know why it was supposed to give a shit about this.
It got a little convoluted. With I was like, what do the trucks do then? I'm not sure. What? Sorry, Tone. I need you to explain again. By the way, did you hear after they announced, because they said it on there, the Kamala thing? Kamala can't be here. Shivani's like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure why. And Heenan came in and he's like, I know why. He buried the fuck out of him. He's like, Kamala was afraid to face Macho Man Randy Savage. So he cried to Kevin Sullivan, and Kevin Sullivan beat him up and then fired his ass.
So they do acknowledge that Kevin Sullivan
damn.
is the booker.
And he you don't want to do the job to Randy Macho Man Savage. I understand why Bobby Heenan would be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah,
you know?
That's the Macho Man. That's a tippy-top guy in the history of wrestling, especially at that
top
point.
5 all-time guy.
Yeah. Macho Man worked his ass off this whole pay-per-view.
He did? Did you know he had a torn tricep the whole time? Almost off the bone?
Oh.
And how bad it must have been for him to fucking have to hear that the million times Hulk Hogan's got to do work twice tonight.
Yeah.
Like, no, he has to drive a truck once.
Yeah.
Macho Man's wrestling 2 full matches with a torn off the bone tricep.
Not to mention Hulk Hogan had filmed the truck sequence the night prior.
Yeah.
So that was 5 hours of recording the prior night. So he had to do virtually nothing.
But like Macho really had to do it, and they didn't.
And his finisher
is
with a finisher that is a top rope elbow drop,
which he used in both matches.
He sure did, because he's a damn soldier.
This one was kind of trash match. It was better.
It was quick.
The second match was definitely better, but I think he was saving some gas.
It was a minute 30
Brutus,
seconds.
come on, like
the ending was really funny. The Zodiac he's standing like on the middle rope, kind of like how Bret Hart used to position himself to do that middle rope elbow, and he missed a dive, and he's clearly not hurt, but he rolls into position.
Yeah.
And that's it. He's just kind of laying there, and Macho Man hits the elbow and ball game.
Yeah, but it's Brutus. That's the best you can ask for. He was such a goddamn waste of space.
We
I do appreciate that they kept his beefcake tassels on his outfit.
Sure.
He's supposed to be like an evil demon from the Dungeon of Doom, and he still got like beefcake tassels.
Doesn't mean you can't be a fancy boy if you're in the Dungeon of Doom.
I also like the Jimi Hendrix style version of Pomp and Circumstance that Macho comes out to.
It was different, yeah. We skipped over the best part of the match.
Oh, go, please. Remember, I got brain fog. So.
No, you're fine. There was a fan that hopped in the ring right away.
Got the fucking shit beat out of him. The only reason I know that is because the crowd went wild.
Yeah, and then Bobby Heenan tried to sell it as if the cheers are for Savage.
Yeah.
But that
was great.
It's exactly like The Simpsons when Homer's at the U2 concert and they pull him behind stage, but they show him getting his ass kicked on the big screen.
That asshole looked like he was like legit trying to kill Macho Man too.
Yeah,
he ran in the ring.
He was bobbing and weaving. They couldn't get him at first. He was a little slippery. The ref couldn't get him.
I have a feeling they like broke his face open.
Yeah, they did not film him. Because they filmed him for a second, and then they filmed him enough to the point where it's like, why aren't they filming him anymore?
Macho and Beefcake powdered out of the ring, so then the cameras could follow them and stay off the ring. But then, like, whatever was happening in the ring, a cheer went up that was not a, like, we caught the guy cheer. It was a, like, they fucked him up cheer.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It was like a pop from a, Will Ospreay match or something.
Yeah, they, I mean, I don't know. It was funny. I forgot that people run into the ring.
Yeah.
Because now they're so good at cutting away from it, but I feel like
it's the last place in the world I would run onto the field to play or whatever. Like
giant amphetamine killers that are,
that feel no pain really. Like,
that don't like when they can't get their stuff in.
Yeah.
With guys they know, but you're going to be a stranger the size of me.
The only good one of those that ever worked out was the Earthquake.
Which one?
Earthquake.
Oh, he got a full.
Because he was a fan.
He had a career out of it.
Yeah.
It now that we're mentioning,
a plant. I know.
Now that we're no, of course. But there was a something Morella. He was and just some
Santino?
guy in the crowd.
He won. Thing.
He won the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes,
it was his first night as a professional wrestler.
And he won the women's title later.
Boo.
Yeah, that was.
Had a boy, Vince.
Questionable.
Had
Vince
a boy.
Again.
The first ever women's battle royal. It's won by.
Have you seen Santino's daughter, by the way?
She's
fucking crushing it.
Yeah, she's doing good. Yeah.
Santino was a very good wrestler. Remember that? I think it was Triple H. Santino had a match like on a random Raw, where he got everybody, myself included, to bite on the holy shit, is Santino going to win the world title? He was awesome.
I was at two things. So I went to the Royal Rumble in 2011, whatever, it was 40 guys, the year Del Rio won, and the final two were Santino and Del Rio.
That's right.
And the place was humming and wanting Morella to win, and I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I went to an elimination chamber, and he was like one of the last. Yeah. Oh, and those fucking snake socks that they used to sell, I knew a guy that would just buy out as many of them because they sold out.
WWE fans love that shit
all the time.
But like he could wrestle too. I mean, he could.
Yeah, he was fun.
Like they made him a comedy thing, but then he put so much of himself into that he made that. He's one of the very few successful comedy acts ever in wrestling.
I loved when he looked upset that he had to like do his finisher because
he
wasn't positive it was going to work. So yeah, that's fun comedy, which was purposeful. The Zodiac is comedy, which is not purposeful, but hey, nepotism's a wonderful thing.
Heenan and Schiavone were like barely containing their ability to just say like, this Zodiac guy's a fucking asshole. This is the silliest shit I've ever seen.
Next, after the match, they go to Mean Gene, who's pimping the WCW hotline
all night long,
which they have to declare is no longer active. But it was $1.49 a minute.
I was gonna say, how depressing is your life if you're spending $1.49 a minute to listen to a recording of fucking Jimmy Hart?
Right.
Like, oh God, Jesus Christ, my baby. I like the all night they pretend that they have like people manning the phones.
Yeah.
One very funny one later on. But but these kind of lines were always just recordings.
There was one phone. Like at one point, Hawk is on there, and like I'm thinking
that's the guy I was thinking.
Oh,
like, if he really is on the phone, like,
wow,
please don't give him your home address.
But I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, there's at least, like, on the low end, there's at least 15 people calling in.
Yeah.
How long do I got to wait on hold to talk to Hawk? And
Yeah.
who's believing that they're going to be talking
because
to
it's
Hawk?
just a recording.
Of course it is.
The entire things are set up to get little children to dial the numbers and then just leave the phone off the hook so their parents get hit with like a $900 bill.
Not going to deny that one of those dumb little kids one time was
I did
your
like
coat, and
Yeah.
I got...
I Nintendo Power one too.
It was Read the Riot Act, I believe they called, and I never did it again.
Yeah, no,
I did not.
Um,
Mean Gene's interviewing Johnny B. Bad backstage. He cut a pretty good. It was
like a good baby face,
yeah,
like inspirational speaker kind of thing.
Absolutely. Dreams do come true.
He really could have been something, man.
But his wife power bombed him, and they lost all credibility. And then Mean Gene tried like hell to have some semblance of there's a gimmick here because he's like, oh, you and me, we're gonna go out for Greek food and sing karaoke afterwards. And you're just like, what are you doing?
Oh, I thought Johnny B. Bad was like legitimately like,
no,
really?
He was.
Yeah, let's have fun.
Yeah,
let's go
he
do it.
was good, but like, I'm like, how Mean Gene went after it felt like, the fuck is he doing?
15 whiskeys. That's how he went. Like, he mentioned a bunch of foods they're going to get in Greektown, but he did not mention the sambuco, like, or whatever it's called, that he's definitely going to drink a bottle of in Greektown.
Absolutely. But, no, good promo. And they're going to lose him.
And I liked the I'm a bad man. Like, if you're going to keep one thing, that's a cool catchphrase.
They did one, like, this whole show was just clearly one take promos.
Yeah.
And just not great. And then, like, when it works noticeably better in the sense that everything is pretty much garbage. But if something is like average, you're like, oh, this is so much better.
Yep.
So,
but like so far, again, I mean, Brutus match was crappy, but it wasn't like a disaster.
No, but it was a squash that played into something
Macho
later.
had detached triceps.
Yeah.
I did on my notes. I checked, and it was a not just a torn, a detached. Bicep.
Jesus
Tricep.
I hope it wasn't his top rope elbow arm. I'm going to have to go back and watch that.
Speaking of
rope, it was the right arm?
Right arm, yeah.
Ugh, poor guy.
A bad motherfucker.
Speaking of Road Warrior Hawk, he fought Kurosawa
This
next.
is wonderful because Kurosawa, his actual name is Manabu Takashi. He was a NJPW heavyweight champion for a bunch of years. Like a storied career in Japan, but back then in American TV, like it was Japanese wrestlers got put very much into a box.
Yeah.
And I just think it's hilarious that they not only made him change his name, despite the fact that he was a very recognizable wrestler, but they changed it to Kurosawa, which I was like, okay, I guarantee you they gave him the two options of Kurosawa because he's the most famous filmmaker in Japan's history, Akira Kurosawa, or Mr. Miyagi, because that's the only two that they knew of that were Japanese.
It's the second time I've ever heard of Kurosawa. The first time was in Bare Naked Ladies 1 week. Like Kurosawa, I like bad films.
Yeah, that's the filmmaker
I don't
I'm
make films.
referencing.
But if I did, they'd have a samurai.
The Seven Samurai.
It's
one of the great movies of all time. One of the great filmmakers.
I fucking love that
But that's
song.
why they picked, Kurosawa. I was like, oh, maybe Ichiro? No, Ichiro was like 2001. Like, what other names would hillbilly-ass WCW
Bruce
come up
Lee.
with? Like, yeah. Like, that's not even the same fucking country, dude.
No. Video package, very concise. They just showed Kurosawa injuring Hawk's arm, which didn't play much, but it had one brief callback in the match, which I'm like, oh, they're fucking doing the work.
Yep.
Good job. They beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, they did. Good match.
Yeah.
At this point, I was like, all right, it's over. This is definitely not one of the worst pay-per-views of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
People need to take this shit off of their lists.
Hawk's offense, I forgot, is exactly like the WrestleFest or game, like that leaping punch, or that shoulder tackle. He does a fucking rude awakening. It's
a
awesome.
bunch of stuff that's fun to spam in a video game.
Yeah, he's got a hell of a fucking offense.
We always lays it in. Him and Animal both.
Big boy.
And it works when you're up against the NJPW guy too, because that's what they want. They want you to beat the hell. They want it to look real.
Yeah, and he did this slap at one point I don't know if you remember what Bobby Heenan said.
That was like a fat girl sitting in a beanbag.
He said it sounded like a fat girl sitting on a beanbag. That's exactly what he said.
Of course I remembered that. He's the best.
Yeah, no story here. I mean, there was a story, but like it was pretty quick, in and out.
Yeah.
The finish.
Short, hard hitting.
Yeah, Kurosawa comes out with Colonel Parker, and they do a finish where there's a Samoan drop onto Hawk. Colonel Parker holds Kurosawa puts his legs on the rope, and Colonel Parker holds his legs, which somehow gives him some leverage.
Yeah, I've seen that before, but it never made sense.
No. After the match, Hawk pops up instantly. I forgot people throw garbage in WCW.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool.
That remember like the attitude towards the end of the Monday Night Wars when they were losing and people were just throwing everything in the ring.
Yeah,
but that shit started in like the 70s.
Oh, sure, but like I don't remember seeing it ever in WWF, because like I was primarily a WWF kid growing up, and
I was shocked by it too when I came around. Now that I'm watching all that stuff, like goddamn, that was like the Wild West.
Yeah,
it was way closer to ECW show, just with a lot more people.
Yeah,
than I would have expected.
That's fair. Yeah, I like that comparison. Also, too, Hawk lost, but as Kurosawa's leaving, he's on the turnbuckle posing as if he won. It was. The visual was odd because it was out of place, but whatever.
Shivani and the Brain are talking about the Sumo Monster Truck match again. They say neither man has ever been in a Sumo Monster Truck. And my note was, yeah, no shit, because you just made the Sumo Monster Truck up like right now, you motherfuckers. Then Savage.
Oh, I wrote it verbatim.
Okay, I only did a few notes, so you can.
I wrote the last thing. The last chunk. So if you got your notes,
it might be the same. I mean, these were mainstays on Botchamania for a while, if you remember back in the day. This might be my favorite unhinged Savage promo. My voice is going though.
Sure,
so you can.
So Mean Gene's interviewing Macho Man Randy. Right, he's Macho Man Randy Savage the whole time. Yes, except Macho King. Anyway, he's Mean Gene's interviewing Savage. Reiterates that Lex Luger needs to win in his match against Ming later tonight in order for the Luger Savage match to take place. I don't know why.
I'm completely confused.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. At some point, Savage just looks at Mean Gene and yells, "Your mustache is crooked."
Mustache is crooked.
And then, I forget when he started this sentence. I don't think there was any context to it, but
the cat one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he goes. I'm not even going to try his voice. I'll just read it. My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity. Yeah. Because of the fact... Hang on. Oh, he's talking about the monster truck thing.
Yeah, but okay. I would like to... One thing. My curiosity is killing me, yeah. Like the cat, that was killed by... which is definitely him stretching for time because he didn't know what the fuck he was going to say. The curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your mustache is crooked.
Yeah. Because of the fact machine versus machine and man versus man doubled and tripled by the exposure of the WCW Heavyweight Championship belt.
Yeah.
That's a sentence.
Started delving into Ultimate Warrior territory.
Don't you think I have a little bit of interest right there? Friendships is friendships. Business is business. Hulk Hogan already drew the line in the sand. I'm just following it up. No idea what the fuck that means.
No, me neither.
I'm going to be a participant, and I'm going to be watching it, too, through the video scope.
Yeah. He said he was going to help Luger, which he did not do. And then, I'm your friend, but if I ever have to see you in the ring, I can beat you. Yeah.
Maybe 2 takes.
That's how he.
Maybe 2 takes.
Yeah.
Dry run, just a dry run. Maybe some notes.
Yes.
Do what The Rock did. Just write your shit on your arm. It's like read off your fucking hand.
Yeah.
God forbid.
But Encino fucking tear you apart for it later.
Yeah. I mean, if what you were saying last week about it being WrestleMania 9 being a Coke fueled dream.
Oh, it was absolutely.
Some of these guys are standalone Coke fueled dreams.
I mean, my favorite thing I've ever seen about Macho Man was a line on Reddit. Somebody wrote about him commenting on one of his promos, and they said, "Yeah, I heard a rumor that they." At one time, they found some blood in Macho Man's cocaine system.
I saw some promo literally yesterday. It was like on Instagram or something, and the caption was like, "When you forget you don't have your sunglasses on," and he doesn't have his sunglasses on, but he's going to cut the promo, and he goes to like
do his
grab
thing?
them.
Like, do his...
And like he pauses for a second because he had a mild panic moment, but he finished quite nicely. Speaking of ECW,
the suicidal, genocidal, homicidal Sabu, I forgot was in WCW at this point. With the original Sheik as his manager, which I thought was cool.
that was the
Did you watch the Dark Side of the Ring about Abdullah the Butcher?
no.
Holy shit, you should watch it.
Yeah,
Just because it's
skip that one.
insane. Like Abdullah gave one of his like students hepatitis C. He
Oh,
just
shit.
Stabbed himself in the head and then stabbed the other guy in the head in the match and stuff. It got sued and sued and sued. And then Abdullah is just like, because now he's old, he's like, oh yeah, no, I never learned to read or write. And so he's like, I couldn't show up to court. I couldn't open my, he's just never paid it. And then they went around and were like interviewing other people. And Mick Foley's like, I don't want to be speaking out of turn here, but he was able to read menus all the time on the road. So not sure about that.
Big boy. It's big boy.
But the Sheik was his mentor too. So
Who
it was
had
kind of cool.
a huge sword,
Yeah.
which
Like more dangerous than the other thing he did was the sword part. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and then his opponents, Sabu's opponent was a guy called Mr. JL, which is Jerry Lynn from ECW.
Yeah.
He's under a mask, like a generic mask. And I figured, okay, maybe he's doing a one-off from ECW's, like he's just coming over to do a couple of shows. He doesn't want to show himself, like losing or whatever, so do a mask. No, I looked it up. He was like, I want to do something that stands out, something that makes me different. Like being Jerry Lynn made you different.
Yes.
Putting that like mask on made you, it's like terrible mask.
Yeah.
And then Mr. JL, like what?
Yeah.
Did your like 4-year-old daughter come out or something? Like,
What are your initials? Boom. Gimmick. You got your gimmick
Christ.
right there.
when I hear people talk about AEW matches being spot fests without any psychology,
Well,
I'm like, no, this is a spot
This is
fest.
the quintessential.
It was just spots.
Do as many things as you can in the time you have.
Yeah, there was no flow, nothing.
No.
It was fun to watch the guys doing the crazy stuff, but it was not a very good match.
Sabu does a moonsault. He's standing on the ring apron, does a middle rope moonsault to the
As
outside.
usual.
Catches, it's his usual shtick, but he catches Mr. JL and the Sheik in the fucking head with his foot. Sabu flips over the rope at some point, so he's standing on the outside and he flips over, very beginning buckshot lariat style, but he lands in a leg drop and he just lands entirely
His
on
ass.
on his fucking head.
Yeah, it was like the earthquake move on your head, but from the top.
Yeah,
Like,
Jerry Lynn, I mean, to his credit, well, I don't know, he couldn't see his face because he had that terrific mask on, but that looked painful.
Yeah. Oh, it was definitely painful.
Yeah.
Heenan at this point says, what's the JL stand for? Jerk and lunch? Which makes no sense, but it made me laugh.
You can tell when he's bored.
Yeah.
Because he'll just go into riffing mode.
Yeah, then that makes me not bored because he says funny shit.
Yeah.
I wish we had him.
The consummate professional. I mean, there's some other spots, like a top rope, like forward. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a sunset flip, but like forward. Like he flipped him.
Oh, that was my favorite spot of the match.
Yeah.
He did it was a victory roll from the top rope.
That's a better way to say it.
And I'd never seen that.
Yeah.
Still, I don't think I've ever seen anybody try it again.
Yeah.
And it was like full on victory roll.
It looked great,
all the way
too.
from the top rope. Yeah, that was badass.
Yeah, that was dope. And then there was a finish. He did a spring moonsault off the rope.
Finish. Then after the finish,
Right
done,
after the finish.
match is over. There's no need to do this.
No.
From the outside the ring, Sheik throws a fucking big fireball into Jerry Lynn's face. Like, absolutely no reason. But Sabu won the match already. There was zero reason to do this.
And it wasn't the focus of the camera.
No.
Like, it was so...
It was like he went into business for himself
Yeah.
to shoot a fireball at Jerry Lynn. And then when the crowd behind him started, like, talking shit about, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, he took that big sword scimitar thing and, like, was poking it out into the crowd.
And it was a
like
sword.
It was like a 4-foot big-ass sword.
Yeah.
It was scaring me.
Yeah. That could have went south real fast.
I mean, he is the original Sheik, which was essentially Abdullah the Butcher, just in a different body. So
yeah.
I'm sure he's like killed people for like.
Well, at least with a sword or fireball. He was a Super Mario villain at some point.
But like people talk about don't waste fire spots. Like not only did he waste it and like we barely got it on camera.
Right.
It was after the match.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, there were a lot of ways to end this match more of in an intimidating fashion than with a springboard moonsault. You had a sword, you had a fireball.
Or just have Sabu do the thing where he jumps and does a leg drop with the chair under his butt.
Yeah.
Like, that's a badass move.
Yeah.
But again, like, we're bitching about this match because it was just a spot fest with no psychology. The ending made sense. But, like, nowhere near a terrible match.
Oh, no,
like,
it was entertaining.
So,
I was
again, the pay-per-view, like, oh, wow.
It's all tracking.
Kind of enjoying this show.
Yeah.
Like,
I was more annoyed with this match because, again, we have the benefit of 30 years of subsequent wrestling to reference, and I just know what these two did in ECW, and I'm like, oh, this. It felt like they were both coming off of like having pneumonia or something. Like we got to go slow.
It seemed to me like Jerry Lynn was not comfortable wrestling in the mask either because he was not as impactful. Again, like those RVD matches were some of my favorite of all time.
Jesus Christ.
I do another good Heenan-ism here.
Yeah.
When Sabu did that top rope victory roll, Heenan says, "Oh, don't try that at home off the ironing board. It won't work."
Bored. It says be bored. So yeah, it was fun. Speaking of Heenan, goes back to Shivani and Heenan after that. Again, just more pumping up the main event. They're recapping that the Giant was around for a while, and they're just kind of showing.
Yeah, they really didn't stop shutting up. They did not shut up about this
no,
shit.
Not only this, so right now they say the Giant was around for a while, but then it was revealed he was in the Dungeon of Doom. Later in the show, they're going to give you a detailed breakdown of when he started being around.
Yeah, like a 15 minutes.
It was long. It was long.
It was well put together.
Yeah.
It was way too long.
Yeah. If it was submitted for like a grade, like that'd be a good like final project.
In retrospect, I do understand why they were mentioning the match over and over again because I kept forgetting this is the Giants' first time wrestling. Everybody's like super intrigued that this 7-foot monster is going to wrestle a match.
Yeah.
And he'd only done a couple of run-ins and stuff till that point. And people thought he was Andre's son. So that's a big deal.
And like, I guess if there's nothing, but everything for the most part, not everything, but yeah, for the most part had like a backstory.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it helps the show to ignore other matches with stories. You know what I mean? Like every fucking segment's got to be about the Giant.
Yeah.
Like maybe tell me why the hell Luger and Savage are like aiming to fight each other. Once
that whole thing was like simultaneously the most interesting and like the most glossed over.
Yeah,
thing
I thought they were going to pay
it.
it off at some point or like explain it. Even Lex,
like we'll bunch of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, Lex Luger actually. We'll get to it because he's got a great fucking line, which verified that. Oh, I don't even think they have a plan here.
Yeah,
they're just kind of throwing it together. But more about the Giants before.
We went to the Master and the Taskmaster.
I wrote this down word for word too.
Right? So they go to the Dungeon of Doom, which they have their own like dry ice. I don't know if it's oil or water based cave.
I think ice is just ice based
or smoke machine. The Master looks like a big fat guy that like came wandering out of a terrorist attack.
Survived.
Like terrible ash and stuff all over their faces. And then Kevin Sullivan, he's the Taskmaster, which don't do a master and a Taskmaster. Jesus Christ. But Kevin Sullivan, like the whole time the Master's talking, he just looks like he's thinking about what he's going to have for dinner later. And then also, he looks like a high school dean, like scanning the room for troublemakers at the assembly. But also he had some squiggles drawn on his head to make him evil. Like
those are important squiggles.
He looked like the most normal dude bored out of his mind the whole time.
And he's the head booker of this company right now.
Oh yeah, I know.
And he's got full carte blanche on how he wants things to go, and this is what he fucking decides
Killed a woman.
to do. Yeah. The Master, as Sully just mentioned, is this big fat blob that's just sitting there, and he cuts the most convincing promo I've ever heard. To the point, I had to write this one down word for word.
Before you start, do you know who the Master is?
No.
The original King Curtis Iokea.
Oh.
So then I had to look up. Oh, is he Prince Iokea's? No, Prince Iokea's last name was like Harris. But he called King Curtis Iokea to say, is it okay if I use your name? Because I have like Polynesian heritage on my mom's side or whatever.
Yeah.
And King Curtis was like, absolutely, your family. He'd
Oh.
never met him before. So that's how we got the artist formerly known as Prince Iakea.
Who was the most successful of the Iyakeas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bloodline would not do well television rating wise. The Master, I don't want to hurt my voice doing it, but he's like,
He's just screaming.
He's doing this voice
loud as he can.
Sullivan, my son, the moon is full over Detroit, Michigan. The stars, Sullivan, are lined up, and the great Milky Way is ready for you, my son. In Tokyo, Japan, and Peking, China, the start of another day. They say, Sullivan, my son, that there will be a total eclipse of the sun today around the world. This is fucking word for word.
Yeah, no, I know. I remember. I'm very impressed right now.
Because, Sullivan, we are here right now, and tonight you will walk upon the galaxies because you're giant, and the insurance of the Yeti, you will destroy Hulkamania
Yeti
around the
in there,
globe. What the fuck?
I don't know. Made the Undertaker look like Oscar Wilde.
What the fuck?
It is pretty funny when he's like talking to his like hench demon, but he's just call him Sullivan.
Yeah.
It's not as scary.
That was my favorite. That's
Like
why I decided to
Sullivan.
write it down, because he
Like,
kept going back to
like
Sullivan.
he was this close to Sully. Like, Sully, we're going to eclipse the whole world.
The fucking Yeti.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
First
that's
mention on
probably
the show.
why the Taskmaster like had that like I'm thinking about my taxes and like what am I have for lunch today?
Yeah. Because what the guy said was nonsense. But like now, I want to go back and watch more Dungeon of Doom promos, because if this is the bar, if this
Yeah.
is the median level of content we're getting, then fine.
Was Shockmaster a member of the Dungeon of Doom? I think he was supposed to be. And then he was, because he did the Shockmaster thing as the member, but then after he fell,
Yeah.
they like repackaged him into making him an electrician so that he wasn't.
He was
anymore.
a goof too. I think he
Yeah.
like purposely fell down. I think so. Where else are you going to put that guy?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he was initially,
Yeah.
was supposed to be. I don't know what he was supposed to be. But
I mean, pre
that's where they had him.
fucking speaking of Earthquake, he ended up in this thing too, but that's when he was like Shark Man or something like that.
Yeah. And then he got rid of his awesome giant tiger tattoo on his arm and
Yeah.
had to replace it with a shark for his piece of shit, like 4-month-long gimmick. Like, dude,
keep what we love.
decision making, my friend.
Yeah, no
Critical
shit.
thinking here.
Oh, there's a lot of critical thinking that did not get done with all this. The whole point of this is, I guess, to keep reminding the crowd that there is a main event.
Yeah.
And
Despite the fact that everything on the show up until the last like 3 things that happened was way better than the last 3
yeah,
things that happened.
absolutely. And also, as I mentioned, first mention of the Yeti, or as Tony Schiavone went into business for himself. They never told him to say
The whole show,
Yeah,
by the way.
they never told him to say it that way. I heard that.
What way, Dave? What way could you possibly like the 3 snaps in a circle guys from In Living Color? The Yeti.
It's meant on film.
Yeti.
It's meant on, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Yeti.
Shivani and your goddamn earring, diamond earring. What are you doing?
That's
Yeti. I love them, but come on.
Yeah. Not all choices are terrific choices.
Go backstage. Mean Gene, Jimmy Hart, and a very, very upsettingly unmustachioed Hulk Hogan are talking to some like giveaway winners.
Mike Hill from Coleman, Alabama,
yeah.
with his fiance.
Is this going to be a thing now? Is every Turnbuckle time machine going to be another way that Hulk Hogan's physical appearance upsets me?
I think so. And I
This
think
obviously he's not the black eye, but like Hogan with no mustache,
Yeah.
it made me think only of when Ron Swanson hooked back up with Tammy too, and like went on the bender with her, and then came back in the middle of his mustache was shaved, and he had like dreadlocks or braids in his hair or whatever. That's what Hogan looks like to me. And
it's like when you shave your mustache and your children don't want to look like
Exactly.
they're afraid of you.
I was afraid of him.
Yeah, like he's America's dad.
Yeah, and
Hulk
he's
Hogan.
also always had that mustache.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a storyline reason why he does not have the mustache. I also thought it was kind of cool that he had all the fucking Hollywood Hogan shit on,
yeah.
like pre-Hollywood
It
Hogan.
was it was proto Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah, because I heard that this was his last appearance on television until like many months later.
Yeah.
And then many months later is when he's going to be back in yellow and red, and then ultimately
Briefly,
it's gonna kick off all the NWO shit.
Yeah.
So, but like he had they had the lightning bolts on it, the fonts were correct, and I'm like, oh, he just had all this shit like in his car,
Yeah.
ready to go. So I thought that was kind of fun.
I think I've heard him talk about it being like one of the inspirations to NWO. Who knows with him? Everything he says is bullshit. So,
well, he was apparently supposed to be fighting in Pride before it was a company.
Yeah. While he was playing bass for Metallica and
shit.
having sex with his 10-inch penis.
His friend's wife.
Yeah, Bubba the Love Sponge. Jesus Christ. Did you ever see the deposition in court?
Of course.
He has to say, my penis is not, in fact, 10 inches long. Hulk Hogan's penis is 10 inches long.
The amount
wonderful.
of times while being intimate have I been tempted to go into character and explain that what is happening here is not me.
It's like my wrestling character.
It's my wrestling character. We're shooting an angle right now.
I am not terrible at eating ass. My heel persona.
And
I'm like MJF. I never break kayfabe.
I will. You're not. If you're sick, it's not working. It's fucking funny.
I just can't say stuff very loud. No. Throat hurts so bad.
Hulk Hogan was talking sometimes here, and he felt like he was doing a Dr. Steve Brule impression.
He was already. I was like awkward to look at just with his face, the long face Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was saying nonsense too.
Just nonsense. He was giving a motorcycle away. He calls the guy that won it. Again, the guy's name is Mike Hill. He calls
Nobody
him.
cares.
No. Especially his fiance.
Like,
his fiance could not. Mike Hill brought his fiance. And
I mean,
she
like the
looked uncomfortable.
viewers of this program.
There was a lot on this show that the viewers did not care about. Again, pretty much everything Hulk Hogan was touching. Yeah. And as we're talking about it, this applies. He calls him Maniac Mike, and he says, Maniac Mike winning this Harley gives Hogan a little extra edge to know that the maniacs are on his side. And I tilted my head like a fucking Cocker Spaniel going, what the fuck does that mean?
What are you talking about?
That is trying to marry two sentences together in the least organic way I think I've ever heard in my whole life.
Jericho-esque.
He said, so the people that donated the motorcycle who own the shop were there too. And they're like, hey, we have some other stuff for you. We have a hat. We have a sweatshirt, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's fine. And then Hogan was trying to get more shit out of him.
Of course he was.
He's like, maybe they want to chrome this thing out a little more. And then they're like, they wait for him to reply.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck, dude? I just donated a Harley. You want more?
That's
You're
very
Hulk Hogan.
expensive, dude.
Pay for it, motherfucker.
He's never paid for anything.
No.
Oh, goddamn life.
And then Hulk Hogan's line for line, he goes, first it's machine against machine. I'm going to push that giant right out of the circle, brother. And then I'm going to take him in the ring and lay him next to his father. Right here in Detroit, brother.
I don't think.
What?
I mean, I know he got body slammed in Detroit, but I don't think Andre the Giant is buried under the ring in Detroit, Michigan.
So, okay.
It was the body slam. Pontiac Silverdome.
Didn't put that together at all because this is the first time.
Now,
They didn't mention Andre the Giant once on this fucking show.
They vague inference to Bobby Heenan a few times said later on when like.
Oh, so after this?
Yes.
Yeah. So up until this point, I'm like,
they never say his name.
But again, 30 years of hindsight, I know that the Big Show was clasping onto his father's casket as the Big Boss Man was driving out of a cemetery. So I'm like, that father? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was very confused.
Yeah,
I'm
his
like,
father, Andre the Giant, who apparently is buried under the ring at Pontiac Silverdome.
It's the only coffin that was big enough.
But they weren't at Pontiac Silverdome here.
No.
Joe Louis Arena.
They were to Joe Louis Arena. Right? Do you have any more on this bullshit? Mean Gene backstage?
No, it's stupid.
No. Really quick, Shivani and Heenan are promoting World War III after this. Yeah. And they say it's going to be the first time ever. 3 rings. War Games is 2 rings. They emphasize this is going to be 3 rings.
That made me giggle. Like, 12 rings? What can we do better? 25 rings stacked on top of each other.
But not only that. So it's 3 rings, 1 giant in each ring.
Yeah.
60 men. 60 fucking men.
That sounds like maybe a little overbooked.
You think? And then the winner gets a title shot. Who are the other giants? So it's the Giant.
Oz.
I haven't seen this pay-per-view. So
Vinny Vegas. So Nash.
Okay. And then
although by '95 you might be in WWE.
Oh, he was champ.
Yeah.
He was WWF champ in '95.
So he's gone. Van Hammer. was like 6'8".
Okay.
Um,
But like Giant Gonzalez wasn't him,
No.
right? Was it the Yeti?
Mark Callis was well gone 3 years prior.
I'm dying to know who the fucking Giants are in this match.
Yeah.
Because like one of them's definitely
The Giants.
the Giant.
Yeah, big show.
Yeah.
Who was the Yeti, by the way?
They said, I researched it and it was a worker.
Yeah.
One detail about the work, I can't remember his name for the life
He was
of me.
big.
Yeah, and he wasn't like notable, but I guess he had short arms, and like that was one of his like takeaways. Eric Bischoff said he had short arms.
Offensive linemen they get drafted later than they should because their arms are too short.
Right. We didn't have enough attribute points to lengthen his arms. We got the height, and there was an insinuation that maybe did we put all of the mummy wrappings on the Yeti's arms to elongate his arm?
You heard that correctly. The
Yeah.
mummy wrappings on the Yeti.
On the Yeti.
Yeah, on the Yeti.
The Yeti, which is, I believe, something that is an abominable snowman. It's a snowman that lives in the fucking
It's
mountains.
Bigfoot in the snow.
Yes.
Not a mummy.
Yes.
Not a giant mummy.
Not a giant fucking mummy.
I thought before...
What did I say? Snowman?
this-
It is Bigfoot. You're
It
right.
is. No, it's the same thing. It's supposed to be like the same species. But like a polar bear and a brown bear kind of thing.
Okay.
But like a Yeti is he's like the abominable snowman, which is supposed to be like Bigfoot.
Right.
Regardless, no mummies involved. I thought like going in because this show is kind of famous for the Yeti.
The Yeti.
Because of how bass backwards it was. But from the vignettes and stuff, I realized the Yeti had been on television prior.
Oh.
Briefly, but like on TV, and nobody was like, "Oh fuck, we can't do this."
Wait, he
We gotta
came out
do
of his
something."
black rock?
They showed a flashback. It was just like him standing in the background. He wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
But you could clearly see him.
Oh.
I assumed it was on TV. It was portrayed as something that was on television.
Yeah.
Which normally, like this gobbledygook or bullshit, it only happens once, and then everybody realizes, oh, we fucked up, and then no. But like this dude was on TV in this gimmick, like prior.
Well, I know they birthed him, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word, on television, which we will cover in detail for the 26-minute
They did.
video promo that preceded the match.
They did like do a video package though, and
100%.
show that he.
I saw
been
him.
around.
Yeah. They did show him for a second. Bathroom?
Thank you.
Next was Lex Luger versus Mang. Mang?
Mang.
Mang.
I never liked Mang.
Came out with the Taskmaster.
There was a period like 93 through 96 where Kevin Sullivan came out for like 40% of matches.
He was the
like, I knew he was the booker, but he was like the manager for like 40% of these matches.
He maybe was just really pleased with his sewing abilities because his gear
Yeah.
looked amazing.
Yeah.
Said fucking no one. And probably because he was in charge, he was able to get away with what he did because Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
That is some He-Man. That's like knockoff He-Man shit.
It's terrible.
It's the fucking worst.
I mean, he drew evil like eyebrows on his bald head. Like
that is a sign of evil. That's how we know he's evil. It plays into the show later.
I know he's evil because he got woman killed.
Yeah.
What a genius there. He like writes his own wife into a cheating on him angle with Chris Benoit. Like
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's one way to get out of a
I
relationship.
have a main theory.
Hit me.
Because I didn't like him back in the day, and he's a guy that I revisited, and I was like, no, I was right. I never liked him.
Yeah.
He's like slow and bad and plotting. I think everybody was too afraid to tell him that he sucked and he couldn't be on TV.
Yeah, he's
Because
notoriously
he was on TV nonstop.
Yeah.
But everybody knows that he's like the toughest guy ever in
Right.
wrestling.
Which I never got when people are like, "Oh, he's the toughest guy." It's a room full of like drugged up
Yeah.
like super athletes. Like how does
I think it's like Dynamite Kid, the biggest psycho, really. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like Dynamite Kid,
The
used
last
do
one to
shit like
stop
Mang, where he
swinging?
like Mang, there's that story where he reaches across the bar and rips out all the bottom teeth in some guy's mouth for just like
yeah, that's called a
talking
sociopath.
bad. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that's Dahmer
And that's
stuff.
I think people are afraid. We're afraid to like.
Well, that's
not put him
reasonable.
on TV.
That's very reasonable.
But like Dynamite Kid wasn't like the best fighter in the world. He was just a fucking maniac.
Yeah,
And, like,
he just never stopped.
yeah.
Yeah. More shocking than anything. I forgot Lex Luger was billed as from Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, I mean he is like
He's from here.
yeah.
I thought he was from Atlanta.
Total package. No.
Oh.
No, born and raised.
I got to go visit his house.
Old boggling face.
Boo. He looked amazing on this show.
They did.
Physically. Like, his work is dog shit.
Yeah.
But,
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah.
There's been one good Lex Luger match. It was that tag match with Sting and the Steiners. That was it.
Well, consider the dance partners.
Yeah.
But my God, did he look credible as fuck. And this is like right after he came back to the company. So like he had all that like Fed experience, and
he jumped so many times, man.
Yeah.
I understand like what you're saying though, why Vince thought of him as like the next big thing.
Yeah.
Of course, he had Bret Hart sitting right there having perfect matches every goddamn night, but because he wasn't like built like The Rock or whatever.
He didn't pass the airport test, which was a big thing for Vince.
What was the airport test?
You had to turn heads in the airport because you were so physically impressive. That was the thing. Is the airport test.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It sounds very much like something that fucking piece of shit would come up with. How about you just have the best, most charismatic, most incredible in-ring performer?
Not interested. Not interested.
How did they beat everybody in the wrestling world? I'm glad that there's
Stone Cold Steve Austin showed up.
Yeah, that's true. But like before that, Vince like got I just watched the Iron Claw 2 nights ago, and it's a bummer watching those territories. I used to, I love when like Triple H now on all the WWE documentaries is like, oh, what Vince did was bring wrestling from like smoky bars into arenas. So like motherfucker, like Bruno Sammartino pre WWE sold out like 86,000 people in like old Comiskey Park.
Yeah,
like. There were lots of people going to Devon Eric's, every week there was like 15,000 people going there.
Right.
Vince didn't invent popularity of wrestling.
No, Vince invented stealing top guys.
Yeah.
And
getting them on exclusive contracts that nobody else did.
And like he just rated that he did what NXT did to the indies, when it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's why NXT was amazing when it
the
was.
Indies kind of got shitty for a while.
Exactly. So it's and didn't they like I read that the territories were discussing putting a hit on Vince McMahon.
Oh, I've heard that a bunch of times.
Yeah,
like Mushnick and Jerry Jarrett and like the 4 Wiseman guys or whatever.
Right.
I would have if I were them.
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean that's
why
trying
to put everybody out of business.
He didn't have better experience in production because the production was fucking bad.
Yeah,
commentating was bad. Like it just wasn't good. He just had the talent.
Yeah,
and the talent is what made him survive. But you look at WCW, again, now that we're watching more of this shit, I'm just to kind of echo your sentiment, given who was on this show alone, how did he do it?
And this is one of the weaker shows. I watched a couple of 91 and a 92 it was like War Games and something else, and both of them had 5 matches that I was like, God damn, those are 4 1/4 plus matches, all of them.
Yeah.
So it was like a regular thing at this time.
Yeah.
But Vince just, I don't know, she's just like one of those megalomaniac psychos.
And he didn't want tag matches anywhere in his company. Like he never valued tag matches. Yeah. WCW, it was all faction and tag.
Are awesome.
But then we're going to get to it later. I forgot Arn Anderson was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Oh, my God. You put any tag team partner with that man, and it was like you could read their mind.
It's coming up next, so we'll wrap this up real quick. The finish to this match is very important for the ending of the show, or for later.
Yeah, at the time, it was big what the fuck was going on here thing.
So Lex Luger power slams Ming, and then Ming has a golden spike on his person.
Which the announce crew talk about like it's like a thing.
Yeah.
Like they call it by a certain name, like we're supposed to know what it is. So I guess that was the thing.
Yeah, I forgot my golden spike at home, but it is a common piece of clothing, apparently. So Ming is about to get pinned, and Kevin Sullivan, who is on the side of Ming,
the Taskmaster,
not the master, the Taskmaster, comes into the ring, kicks Ming, causing Luger to win by disqualification. I said earlier that Ming had the golden spike. He hits Luger with the golden spike.
Yeah.
Covers Luger. Luger's about to win. Kevin Sullivan comes in, kicks Ming, thereby disqualifying him, allowing Luger to win by DQ. forcing the Luger versus
Yeah.
Savage match later.
Yeah, Meng
in
was
the
about to
evening.
win the match,
Yeah.
and his guy broke it up.
Yeah.
And caused a DQ. And
What the fuck?
yeah, exactly.
What
yeah.
the fuck?
What's going on here? Did I just see what I was?
I had a hard time wrapping it up verbally.
What
happened?
doesn't make any sense.
No.
In as much as I am talking well about this pay-per-view, surprisingly, these finishes all fucking suck ass.
All of them.
Like, do you see now why I get so defensive about no DQ finishes in AEW? I'll allow one every 2 months.
Yeah.
Because I don't want this shit to ever happen again.
No.
Just do winners and losers.
If it just make it make sense.
Yeah.
That's it. Or make it a desperate thing where
I don't even mind cheating. Just get a pin or a submission.
totally.
Afterwards.
Yeah. But make it make sense. So, because Kevin Sullivan kicked his own guy who was about to win, Luger is now the victor, and he will be fighting Randy Savage for some reason I'm supposed to care about later in the night.
Yeah, again, still unclear why.
Yeah.
They're doing a tournament. No explanation.
No idea. Mean Gene's backstage with the Giant, who is in a large racing flame retardant
Got an
jumpsuit.
interesting promo style. Now that I've watched a big show for so many years.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing a whispery growl thing.
Again, first show, he looked nervous.
He was way more energized and into this promo than I've ever seen Big Show before, I think. It was like the voice thing I thought was a little silly, but he was going for something. He was going hard for it.
Absolutely.
And he was kind of scary.
I it wasn't great, but can't fault him for it given his experience. I don't know. It was there.
Yeah.
One thing I'd have thought while this was happening, why is there a match after this? You know what I mean?
After the
monster truck thing where things can go seriously fucking wrong, why are they having a wrestling
More
match?
importantly, why are you having a monster truck thing before your wrestling match? On this wrestling show.
Because the whole pay-per-view is hinged on the fucking monster truck.
By the way, that your promotion is known for, the fans are the biggest fans of the actual professional wrestling in America.
Yeah.
You don't need to do monster trucks.
I think you do.
Just do Bobby Eaton versus Sting.
Yeah.
People will be happy.
But make sure they're both in monster trucks. It's vital to the success of the product. Calling back at the beginning of the show when they said that Ric Flair was attacked by Arn Anderson and Flying Brian, and he was not in the building. They even mentioned it into the first match. The next match is Arn Anderson and Flying Brian versus Sting and
it's supposed to be Flair.
Supposed to be Ric Flair. I forgot how fucking great the Four Horsemen's theme is.
Yeah.
God damn it. I want to walk into room slow motion with that.
I put it in my Spotify.
Ric Flair gets announced first, but Sting walks out.
Yeah.
Which
I thought there was a mistake at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, they're just doing a thing.
Right. Also, this is Sting is how he was announced.
Yeah. I mean, that
is
goes
a
back
mainstay
a
of his goddamn
career. I didn't
career.
know that until
No.
I recently started watching those early 90s shows. I'm like, oh, they always did this. Sting.
That's fucking cool that they kept that around for as long as they did. Also, Sting is I believe he's the current United States champion. I have no reason to believe otherwise.
No, he is.
Arn
Anderson
he has no belt.
And always has been 39 years old. He's exactly somebody's 39-year-old, kind of distant stepdad.
Sure.
Played football in college, so he's still kind of got that rock hard thing, but he's not like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Dad glasses from the 80s. He just is 39 years old.
He was
his
bald,
entire career.
He was balding with that mustache in 7th grade.
He never wrestled after the age of 40.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he looked like he was 40 the whole fucking time.
That's a timeless act right there.
It's the same reason he doesn't do bumps now is because it was his spine got all fucked up.
Well, that's probably why he walks successfully while his
or just shoots people with a
Glock.
Armed Anderson.
I enjoyed the shit out of this match.
Yeah.
It was a handicap match.
It's an excellent match.
But one note I had was, I'll read it. I go, up until now, I didn't know professionals worked here. Wow. Yeah. What a great fucking match.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Sting is so much better than I remembered him.
Yeah, he worked his goddamn
He does
ass off.
the dude could do everything.
Yeah.
And he was 6'5", 275.
Yeah.
And he was doing top rope stuff.
Yeah.
He runs the ropes fast as hell. He never gasses. And then he's doing gorilla presses on motherfuckers. Who can do, even now, a gorilla press and also a crossbody from the top to the outside?
He did that gorilla press for a long time, too.
Without breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
you see like Warrior do the gorilla press, and it looks like he's gonna have a stroke.
Yeah.
I mean, Stinger was just holding him up, and he's much taller, just holding him up above his head, like, yeah, I could do this all day.
Yeah.
People like that dude. He's in the conversation for the best of all time.
Like it really made me want to go back and watch more early Sting shit because like I'm pretty ignorant to this early
I
WCW
was too.
stuff.
So pretty recently,
Yeah.
I watched that Sting Luger tag match against the Steiners. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen, and they do not slow down for 1 second.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Luger because he was like, you could tell he's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up. I don't want to fuck this up for these guys. Like he did a couple of matches, but the other three were like he was just barely hanging on. The other three were just flying around doing like. The people watching had to be like, did a spaceship land from the year 3000 and bring these dudes? Because we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. Also, too, when they talk about old tag team matches and like how, what are they called now? FTR.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, oh, they're a throwback tag team, and I'm like, I always knew what it meant, but like not to the degree.
Yeah, no,
like,
they do like the cutoff stuff, but
like I never. But like this match was an old school fucking tag match,
yes,
even though.
100%.
And I'm like, oh, this is what they're not talking about demolition against Power and Glory, like which is what I grew up watching.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, this match alone is making me want to go back.
I remember when I was like in 5th grade, I had a friend Ben and Chris Ifland.
Shout out Ben and Chris.
Hillbillies. They live in like a very white supremacy part of Idaho now, so who knows?
Yeah.
But like I was a wrestling fan, and I only had a few other buddies that were wrestling fans. They were wrestling fans too, but I was because my parents did not allow me to watch stuff like Dusty Rhodes getting a railroad spike in his eyeball.
Taboo.
Like, so I was a Hulkamaniac, and I loved Jake the Snake. And then I would go to their house, and they would have like all the lascivious like Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines and tell me about Mean Mark Callis and the Heart Punch, and that was like my first introduction to actual wrestling, but I was like afraid of it. So I stuck with WWF, and then like I just grew up watching that. And by the time WCW got back on my radar, it was the Wars, and they had already abandoned the thing that I would have liked them for had I watched them back in the day. Like, it's when they started trying to be WWF. That's
who was trying to be
hell,
and they were trying to be ECW.
Yeah.
So, no, that's a great point.
But it's really fun going back and watching some of these matches.
I wonder if WCW stayed the course. This all comes down to marketing and production.
Oh, they for sure would
and
be.
Stuff.
They would just be AEW.
Yeah, that's fair.
They would have evolved to now AEW. Of course, does the thing where they have every different style and like. But that's the direction WCW would have gone.
That absolutely
if they didn't
tracks.
start dicking around with all like Oz and like Kevin Sullivan's ridiculous booking choices and stuff.
Yeah, and then whatever, and then unmasking Rey Mysterio.
Worse than the Hogan eyeball.
Yeah, we're not gonna even acknowledge it, but more than I just did. There was such a cool spot in this match. Going back to how it's cool, old school tag team wrestling. Pillman is on the outside. Arn Anderson is in the ring, and Arn Anderson throws Sting's head into Pillman's head.
Yeah.
Just to get the upper hand, and they acknowledge, like, oh, he used to do that with Tully Blanchard. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking smart. That's a smart wrestling move.
Yes.
That's like how a guy would fight.
Which,
right?
Again, that's why they talk about FTR as like throwback.
Sure. But now, like, it's coloring that a little bit more for me. So now,
when I say I've been watching these 91, 92 pay-per-views, it's because I'm a AEW maniac, and I'm like, oh, shit. That's where all the stuff I like came from.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's amazing. Like going back, and the crazy thing of like Arn Anderson doing FTR stuff, and he was like 6'4" too. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like and
he was
really
old.
Cool.
He was 39 at the time.
At all times.
Time.
But yes, Stinger. It was just just because I was a Hulkamaniac, and then later a Bret Hart guy, like Sting was never really on my radar. I always knew that he was well respected and like. Was their most popular guy, was like the U.S. champ, the world champ, just from stuff I would read or see, whatever. I had no idea until the last like 2 months what a goddamn incredible wrestler he was.
Yeah. But even like even when Ric Flair came in '92 with the Real World's title, my small body and mind could not have given less of a fuck.
Yeah.
What the real world's
Back
title
then,
was.
me neither.
No, I'm like, I don't care.
Eventually, I was like, oh yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, but back
But
then,
I'm like, who's this
so if I couldn't,
little guy?
yeah, this little like old man, like, and he wasn't old, but he, the white hair.
He did cut off some promos, but I was 12, so I didn't like.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't care. You're not Hulk Hogan. You're not Mr. Perfect. You're
Yeah.
not Rick Rude. You're not Jake Roberts. Like, I know those guys. I like familiarity. So if I couldn't care about that, I sure as shit wasn't caring about Sting.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the fuck is Sting?
Yeah, like I said, up until a couple of months ago, I had no goddamn idea how great he was in the ring.
No. Ric Flair, turns out, sorry, he's fine.
He's fine. He comes out in his pleated dress pants.
His khakis and his polo.
So he loses the shirt eventually. One of my notes from this match is find someone who loves you as much as Ric Flair loves wearing pleated dress pants during wrestling matches. Ric Flair the entire time being the most obvious I'm going to turn on Sting.
Yeah.
Like from the second he walks out there, like everyone in the audience is like, he's going to fucking turn on Sting here.
Which was fine.
Yeah.
It was cool how it
It
happened.
worked.
Like,
It got a big, a big
Sting got
reaction.
Sting got a hot tag. Or he gave the hot tag to Ric Flair. Ric Flair just bounces off the ropes, comes right back and fucking blasts
Pops
Sting.
him. Yeah. During the match, Shivani was like, "Oh, well, we've already had a new TV champ crowned," and then he just go fluke under his breath. It's so great.
Cool. Horsemen are back together.
Yeah,
and again, as I mentioned before,
great music.
Yeah, great music and Flying Brian. God damn it, does he make everybody look good?
Yeah, too bad.
No,
But,
too bad. So sad.
Young man.
Mean Gene's waiting at the top of the ramp to plug the hotline again.
I do got to say before we get down to that though, in kayfabe, Sting is pretty simple because like simple-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ric Flair has turned on him by this point. It's been like 12 times.
Yeah.
And he's like shocked. I did like also when he was shocked, Sting reacted. He was like fucking apoplectic. He lost his goddamn mind. Like he looked legitimately furious.
Yeah.
And was like throwing crazy punches and stuff. I was like, Stinger, you're making this feel real, man.
Well, he's mostly that anger's turned within. Because to your point, it's like, damn it, he got me again.
Yeah.
And who can you blame at this point?
Did your Flair pitch turning on Sting in the last match? So
yeah. Oh, we talked about that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He wanted Conrad Thompson to talk to Tony for him. Yeah. And he's like, maybe go talk to him yourself.
Shit.
And then he tried to sell him some
Blue Energy.
Yeah.
Did you see that? By the way, the $19.99 for a 6-pack we looked up. That was the sale price, my man. $29.99 is the regular 6-pack price of that Woo Energy.
It better just be.
You can bring on your Jarrett Cruz.
Yeah.
Dork.
I just want to try it. Let's get some. I'm gonna get some when I go home tonight, and we're gonna drink it on the. We'll do live reactions on the show.
Did you order a week ago? Because otherwise, you're not getting it tonight.
Oh no, we're gonna get it by August probably.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they got a good drop shipper for that.
When I used to order illicit drugs off of the dark web back in the day.
Jesus.
Well, I told you I had an addiction thing.
Yeah.
I don't any longer.
Woo.
But like it would just kind of show up maybe in 2 days, maybe in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
There's nobody you can can't reach out to like your person you're buying drugs from in Oregon or wherever.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, they might send somebody out to kill you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how Woo Energy Drink is going to work. Similar situation.
It's a hell of a business model.
It was, yeah. It's a grift. He's going after the fans that are going to buy anything that's wrestling related.
Yeah.
Obviously.
He probably signs a lot of those cans.
More WCW hotline stuff.
More
now.
WCW hotline
They really
stuff.
push this. I get why. $1.49 a minute.
Yeah.
Probably made a mint. And this time I said, Jesus Christ, they have a paintless Road Warrior Hawk talking to some fans on the phone.
He looks like a problem without his makeup on and his haircut the way it is.
I bet those conversations went in some interesting places. Hope nobody gave him their home address.
Well. Mike Tenay's interviewing Lex Luger in the back and says, Luger says forces in WWE want him to fight Savage. And then he goes, the reason why? I can't say. I really don't know. And I go, thank you. Because none of us fucking know.
The Booker doesn't know. Kevin Sullivan doesn't know.
No. And then he says to Macho Man, you've never had a bigger match than the total package right now. And I go, what?
Mega Powers,
Like,
maybe.
he fucking won the world title at WrestleMania.
Like Ricky Steamboat's.
90 by 95, he had the retirement match with the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
He
with the Ricky Steamboat match that like still a bunch of people consider the greatest wrestling match that's ever happened.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
the obvious number one,
Yeah.
but like
But the Mega Powers was
I
a
misspoke.
huge goddamn deal.
I misspoke. It's Ricky Steamboat, and then it's above it. It's the total package
Yeah.
on Halloween Havoc '95. Said no one ever. Boo. We're here. We're here. It's time.
They did the giant video package first, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did So we just briefly they did a recap of everything that's happened between the Giant, insinuated Andre the Giant's son, and Hulk Hogan. This is where I found out how Hogan lost his mustache. Kevin Sullivan shaved his mustache in the ring, like Aslan from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, some shit. That was very amusing. I said video package goes on about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Hogan comes back in the black because of the death of Superman. Wonder if it bothers Macho that they keep saying Hogan has to compete twice tonight, which no, he doesn't, and also Macho does, and he has a detached triceps. Can't stand to look at No Stash Hogan. He looks like when Ron Swanson was on the bender with Tammy too. And then they
mentioned one other thing. Now that we're talking about how Andre the Giant is his father, this makes a little more sense. Now, the first time we see the Giant in this in this package, is he's at Huntington Beach, and he throws his father's shirt at Hogan. They say that in the narration. I go, what the fuck does that mean? And I guess it's his singlet. Like, I don't know. But that's the first time we are introduced to the Giant. It's just like on the fucking beach, like during one of those on location WCW shows. And then the next week, the Giant's in the Dungeon of Doom. So, and then everything you said.
Like we said, he had not had a match.
Not yet.
So technically his first match was a Sumo Monster Truck match.
Correct. Also, too, we got introduced to the insurance policy, the Yeti, which was born out of like a giant black rock.
Tony Schiavone was definitely doing the snap, right?
The Yeti. Yeah. It's just because he's from where he's from.
Yeah.
That's a local
Fire
thing.
Island.
Jesus Christ. The narrator said specifically, you're talking about his mustache, because he's talking like this. He's going, full 90s narration voice. He goes, an injured, shaved Hulk Hogan would not stay down.
Like he's a shaved ape or something.
A shaved Hulk Hogan. I loved it.
Okay, lean into the Aslan.
Before they go to the monster trucks, they look at, it's our first look at Eric Bischoff. Woo! It was nice.
They talk to the monster truck guy.
Yeah,
and is like doing a terrible job interviewing. And Bobby the Brain comes in and asks like 10 straight awesome questions that you definitely would want to know
if you were
a monster truck guy.
But if you were a truck guy, dude, this was just very technical truck specs. And
that was to Bischoff though. What Heenan started asking was like, people don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
How big are the wheels?
Yeah.
And he's like, how many pounds? Each? Yeah. Like, how much horsepower does this thing have?
Right.
And great answers. Like, Heenan knows. And like, that's what people want to hear. You talk about a monster truck.
Yes.
Yeah, talk about like the wheels are
You're the
2 tons.
color commentator. The purpose of that is to color the scenery.
Oh, what this segment like proved to be that Bischoff was definitely the one that came up with the stupid thing.
Oh, yes.
And then Heenan was like, all right, Junior, step off. I'm going to fix this part for you.
Bischoff said he was trying to find, he's like, well, monster trucks were hot at the time. And like we were trying to find some sort of marketing and promotional tie-in or whatever.
Yeah, they just shoehorned it together, though.
They literally.
I have a question. What were the stakes of this match? The Sumo Monster Truck match?
No. What are you talking about? Stakes?
So what do you get?
You win the monster truck match.
Yeah.
Because then you get a world title match afterwards.
Regardless.
Yeah. What they should have done.
Make it for the world. Like, you get a shot at the world title if you win the monster truck.
Also, moving forward, every number one contender match should be a sumo monster truck match. Every wrestler should have their own branded monster truck.
I did hear in 1996, it was put forward by both the WWE and WCW that every number one contenders match was going to be a Sumo Monster Truck match, but unfortunately the state athletic commissions for like 38 states wouldn't allow it. So unfortunately they had to just go with like Judy Bagwell and Paul.
Gets me every
That's
time.
how it's.
What a terrible promotion to get. Like you work for the athletic commission and you're like, hey, Steve, gonna promote you. You're gonna be in charge of the Sumo Monster Truck. Like he's like, huh? No.
Like, how do I even touch what?
Do I have a staff? Like you don't need a
Are
staff.
you kidding?
No. But they do start the monster truck.
Hogan's in a Hogan Monster Truck.
So Hogan's in a Hogan Monster Truck that has giant arms.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, why not? If it's gonna be
you
silly,
go all the way.
Both of the trucks look pretty fucking cool.
They did, yeah. The Dungeon of Doom truck and the Hogan truck.
And before they get into the trucks, they're read the rules, and Hogan, to his benefit, goes, "Wait, what are the rules? Tell us." And it's just like a new guy that we don't know yet, and he goes, "The circle of the perimeter here. There's 2 charges. The vibration of the truck can make it go off, or you can run over it. Is a charge a bomb?"
The way that they were talking about it, it's I think explosives.
So there were 2 bombs,
and then they were like, "Oh, and the trucks run on alcohol." So like, "Oh, alcohol with the bombs that'll really blow up." I'm like, "It'd fucking blow up if it was gasoline too."
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
Like,
bombs are going to cause big problems.
It's flammable.
The guy goes on. He's like, "Unless it disables that truck, you keep on running them." Google did not like the word running them. It tried to autocorrect. It had no idea what to do. And then he says, into this glass up, I want the truck to be completely out of the ring. That doesn't mean 1 set of axles. That means 2 set of axles. So the truck has to be completely out all the way to the bumper.
It's a sumo.
And then the ref he turned to read the instructions a couple times off camera because even he fucking didn't understand what was going on. And then
this is ridiculous.
And then they welded the trucks together in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I Googled how long it takes to weld like a 6-inch piece of pipe. It takes about a half hour.
Yeah, I think they soldered them together, which is like what you do with computers.
Yeah.
It's usually not welding.
No,
trucks.
they certainly did not do that right now.
2 drivers per truck.
2 drivers per truck.
1 for back and 1 for front. They kept cutting back to the cab.
Absolutely.
And where Hogan was like just gleefully bouncing up and down with the biggest smile on his face that I've ever seen from him.
Yeah.
Maybe the only real smile I've ever seen Hulk Hogan do was when he was doing his gear shift and bouncing up and down in his truck.
And they used a lot of the same style, not a lot of variation in the shots at all.
All we saw were 2 trucks going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth
and back and forth
and back and forth
and back and forth
for like, I don't know, 4 days, 5 days.
Way too far. What was the time on this? Did I have a time? It was only 5 minutes, but it felt like 5 minutes.
I do not believe you.
From like go to the end, 5 minutes.
We can go back right now, and you could prove it to me, and I would still not believe you.
I believe you, and then we will immediately go to Wikipedia and be like, "Yo, whoever put this in is wrong."
Yeah,
there's
relative time, like wind chill. Yeah. It feels like 2 when it's the
it's
40. It felt like 5. Real time was 5. Felt like 50.
It felt like 5 minutes underwater.
Yes.
It was the worst. I don't even know what to say because it was so unentertaining. It was. I fast forwarded through the entire thing.
I'll say, I had a couple of lines I thought were funny.
Hogan
looks like a 14-year-old boy on his first trip to the Bunny Ranch. He's having way too much fun. I'm like, I don't think this can be a work completely. I don't think you could fake a monster truck pushing fight. Like they were really pushing each other.
Yeah,
it wasn't doing anything.
No,
I think it's real. Oh, just my interview with Heenan, looking at Bischoff like, you dumb fuck. Ask the questions people want to know.
Yeah,
how much do those giant tires weigh?
So after what felt like. Dude, it was like when you're in high school and like there's only 10 minutes left in the class and you're just like, it's got to be 8 minutes since I looked at this clock and it's like 30 seconds have gone by. In case people need another example of what relative time is like.
Yeah, the second hand goes backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So the finish, Hogan wins. He pushes the Giants truck completely, both axles, outside of the ring. And then they both get out.
Yeah, then Hulk Hogan murders.
Oh, hang on.
Big Show.
They get out and fight, and then they go to the edge of the building.
Yeah.
And they stand on the edge. The Giant's choking Hogan. Hogan breaks the choke, and the Giant does Looney Tunes, wave your arms backwards, and then he falls off the
5
goddamn
stories,
building.
they said.
Cuts right to Eric Bischoff, Heenan, and right? No, it was Shivani.
Shivani
and Heenan.
Because Heenan was like
Genuinely concerned.
seemed like he was going to cry.
Should have got a goddamn Tony
Shivani
Award.
seemed like a sociopath.
Yeah.
Because Heenan was so upset, and he actually didn't say it right away, but he was very, very, why are we finding out? We need to know if he's okay. We need to know. And then a while in, he mentioned, you have no idea the relationship I had with his father.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, God, great storytelling. This is amazing.
Heenan asks what side of the building he went off, and Bischoff says, you got a river on one side and you got a parking lot on the other. What difference does it make?
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff, it makes a gigantic fucking...
It does, yeah.
Also, too, trained swimmers do not survive falling into lakes.
Yeah.
This is a
5-story drop.
Yeah, for a several 100-pound man that does not look like he's got a swimming pedigree. And we're all just supposed to, it's fine. Heenan's the only one who's like, he says at some point, I'm paraphrasing, he's like, he gets up and he runs to the back to see because no one's telling him what's going on, and he comes back moments later and he's like, it was like 500 people back there. It'll take me 2 hours to get back there.
Yeah, and like he's trying to, the other guys are like trying to talk about the next match and shit. He's like, what? Why are we talking about that? We need to find out if he's okay. Is he alive? And then Shivani comes off as a total sociopath. At one point, he's like, yeah, could be bad. Like your buddy might be roadkill, basically. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, guy is very clearly upset that was one of his best friend's sons. We evidently just watched fall to his death.
Yeah. But more importantly, it's time for Randy Savage versus Lex Luger.
Yeah.
A man might have just died, but we got to get to Randy Savage and Lex Luger.
Randy Savage and his detached tricep. This was a better match than his first one.
Yeah, Luger still sucks.
He sucks.
Savage is just... Luger made Savage look so much better by comparison because Luger's so mid.
Trash. Yeah. It's amazing that he was working with that torn tricep.
Yeah.
That sounds so painful.
This entire match has been built up the entire show for reasons we don't understand, for reasons that Lex Luger does not understand, and there is zero commentary during this match that's talking about this match.
No explanation.
They're talking about the Giant the entire match. So I still don't know what the point was.
I'm okay with that because you would, if somebody you thought was dead, like you would be talking about that.
1000%. It just was such a, but now again, I know he's alive.
Yeah.
So like,
and also
in hindsight,
this whole show we've been like, why the fuck is this match happening?
Yeah.
Why was there 2 other matches? There were like prelim matches.
No video promo.
Nothing. No idea what the stakes here are, or what you win or don't win, or
absolutely fucking nothing. The end. I don't know. Could we go to the end? Do you know anything?
Yeah.
The Luger Irish whips. Luger is Irish whipped into Jimmy Hart, who's standing on the apron. Luger falls down. Right? Savage does a top rope elbow drop for the win?
Yeah.
So it was the same fucking finish, basically?
Yes. Yeah. It was a good elbow drop, though.
I had to hesitate. I'm like, wait, isn't this what happened to Brother Brutai in the first match for the most part?
Yep.
Yuck.
2 good elbow drops, both with a
he's fucking
detached tricep.
Savage was fucking great. Goes right back to Shivani and Heenan's just livid.
Yeah, like his face is pale. It's an
It
incredible acting
lasted
job.
almost 5 minutes. They keep the camera on Shivani and Heenan, and Heenan's just like
Never
captivating.
breaks, just absolutely doing a wonderful acting job.
And you can tell Shivani's out of his league.
Yeah, I like Shivani, but he ain't Bobby Heenan, man.
No, absolutely not. So then, since everyone's so panicky, we go to Hulk Hogan and the Giant. It's for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Michael Buffer introduces the Giant.
I don't like Michael Buffer. I've decided.
No?
Why not? He seems like he looks like he thinks his farts don't smell.
He looks like he is drenched in some kind of cologne.
But very cologne-y, yes.
Yeah, very cologne-y. I mean, he figured it out. The Buffer boys just say 2 things.
Whatever, get that bag.
Mentions.
I like the other Buffer better. He seems like a kind of a psycho.
He's got a little
loose cannon. He's like Michael Buffer's too prim.
Yeah.
Plus, you only come out for the main event. Like, fucking just announce all the matches on the show,
right,
dude? I know that your Let's Get Ready to Rumble is so valuable, but like,
What do you think he makes every time he says that?
Back in the day, there was a huge rumor that it was $10,000 every time he said the words.
Whoa.
I have no idea if that was true. Also, that rumor went on for about 15 years, so it couldn't have been that because it's like inflation happens.
Yeah.
But my whole life, I heard 10 grand every time.
I mean, even if it wasn't inflation, I would love to make 10 grand today.
And I believe it was 10 grand every time anybody played it too.
Oh.
It wasn't just him doing it live.
Can you imagine if every time you said, "Welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod," you get 10
Maybe
grand
someday.
every time? Yeah. But Michael Buffer, Hogan comes out. He is not dressed to wrestle. He's also billed at 275 pounds, which is down 28 pounds from WWF.
Yeah, it was 303 for
303
whole
pounds.
goddamn career.
Yeah. So something is not doing a body good.
The mustache.
Steroids.
The mustache. He shaved the mustache.
He sure did.
It's 28-pound mustache.
It's very top heavy, that Hulk Hogan.
Babyface Hogan with Jimmy Hart's.
Literally babyface Hogan.
Why? Yeah.
He starts on some who gives a shit promo. The insinuation is he's about to announce that the Giant is dead.
Yeah.
And he cannot compete tonight for the world title.
Yeah.
And just like that,
Due to.
the Giant comes out.
Yeah.
And he looks like he just got out of the shower.
And Heenan was like, thank God.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, dirty him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes. I mean, I understand if you're like, oh, he just got out of the lake.
Yeah.
That's probably dirty water, too. Like,
But on a show like
you gotta
this.
climb up to the shore. Too.
Yeah, but then, like, it's WCW in 95. Drape some fucking seaweed on him or
We saw
something.
grease on Mark Barrow's face. Like,
They're not bigger than that.
give this guy like a bloody nose and like
Stick a starfish on him
Yeah.
or something. Like, God damn it, that would have been hysterical if he comes out looking like a SpongeBob character. Giants meet. Yeah, he walks to the ring. Hogan ripped his shirt off and then had another shirt on.
Yeah.
It looked like he had Spanx on
Yeah.
underneath, which made me laugh out loud.
Heenan to the Giants said, eat them up like you would villagers.
This guy is a goddamn national treasure. Hogan pulls off his bandana to reveal that he is wearing similar makeup to the Taskmaster,
the drawn
implying that this is contributing to the dark side of Hogan. Never explained, but we're just supposed to be like, oh, that guy's got that guy's makeup on. He must be bad too.
But the whole Dungeon of Doom is after Hogan. Like, that's the whole
Right.
deal.
Yeah, we get
I
it.
guess so.
So maybe that's like a protection spell. Like, again, nothing is explained.
Yeah,
Why
no, it
start
doesn't
now?
make sense.
No, why start now on this show? Who gives a shit?
Everything Hogan touches.
And then this match was just a rehash of WrestleMania 3 with a more athletic Giant.
Well, and I will say, it's his first time in the ring.
It was
he looked
fun.
very comfortable.
It was
Like,
fun. Yeah.
It was impressive how quickly he took to. He didn't do any of the green stuff that you even see like Logan Paul doing.
Yeah.
This was his first time. Like,
Yeah.
He was an impressive guy. I see why they hired him away for so much money.
Yes.
Because he did have a ton of potential. If he never would have had the weight problems, I think he could have been absolutely incredible.
Right.
He still had a great career.
Minus Hulk. And well, no, Hulk Hogan didn't really seem like he was into this. Like, give the Giant someone better to work with.
Yeah.
And this would have been probably not. I mean, the thing that criticized the pay-per-view for being as bad as it was has not come up yet. But, like, this could have been like a shining debut.
Oh, yeah. Hogan's never into it unless he knows he's going to go over with the leg drop center of the ring.
Yeah.
Like usual bullshit.
Yeah, that's
He's a
fair.
prick.
It's not fun. Heenan throughout this match too is insistent that we find out what happens to the Giant, and if we don't, they're gonna find out. They kind of tee up like, oh, if we don't find out tonight, we'll tell you tomorrow night on Monday Nitro. So again, Heenan is talking like a human being would talk if somebody was shoved off a roof and then just miraculously appeared and was working a match. He's like, what the fuck happened?
And it's wild that he's able to stay in that kayfabe, that character, like so naturalistically. He reacts exactly like you would.
Yeah.
And nobody else seems to be able to do that.
No. Like
ever.
Sense. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that was the match. I don't have a lot of notes on the match. It's just like it was a Hulk Hogan match.
Yeah.
Big, versus a big guy. The finish this made me so confused. Oh, but here we go with this. This next segment could be called "This Made Me Confused."
Yeah.
Hogan slams the Giant, and the ref goes down as if the tremor shot him out of the air.
Yeah.
But
He goes down like when Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz went through the ring,
Yeah.
and it like pulled the apron,
Right.
and the ECW ref like stumbled.
Yeah.
It looked like that.
It looked like that, but bad camera work here. Apparently, Jimmy Hart hits the ref in the back at the same time.
No kidding.
Yeah. I liked it better when the ref just like got shot in the air from like a seismic reaction, but no, you see like very closely in the corner. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then they say Jimmy Hart attacked the ref, right? So
was it some rando? WCW loves using weird ass like objects. They always used to use what they would call brass knucks, but it was just like tape around their fingers.
I don't remember what it was, to be honest with you. Jimmy Hart had the world title for a lot of the end of this match, so it might have been that. Maybe he just punched him, so like, I don't know. And I didn't care enough to rewind it. Jimmy Hart, so he turns on Hulk Hogan right here because he's attacking the ref from behind.
Yeah.
And then the Giant slaps on a big old bear hug to Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart and the Taskmaster are in the ring. And then Hart's calling somebody out from the back, and we can only think that it's the insurance policy. But instead, out comes Luger and Savage.
Yeah, I forgot we had to overbook the shit out of this.
Yeah,
first.
because we're not done with them. Their story's not finished. It's not fully explained yet.
So it's not begun as far as the viewer is concerned because we still don't know what the fuck is going on.
No, absolutely not.
And now they're doing a run in this.
Savage tries to save Hulk Hogan, but Hart hits him with the world title in the worst fucking way possible.
Yeah.
He like it's like they were playing tag and he hit him with it. And Savage sold it like he got shot with a fucking gun.
Right?
And then Luger stays on Savage, and then the Yeti. The Yeti comes out, and
do you think they thought it was going to be like the Kane moment?
Yes, 1000%.
In your house, like it's Kane.
Why else would they do it?
Like this was a precursor to that. This happened first,
right?
But I think they thought they were going to get that kind of reaction,
like a big.
And then WWF was like, "Well, we'll do that, but we'll do it with like something that looks cool and can wrestle and stuff." Like,
right. And we'll make him the original biblical bad guy.
Yeah,
like I don't know. It had one extra layer to it, and it was all of a sudden way better. The Yeti, which is got to be a 9 foot tall guy,
probably legit 7-footer, like over 7 feet.
Yeah, he wrapped in like when you made your
toilet paper.
Yeah, it's like how you did it with your friends though. Like it was never tight. Like it never stayed on. It was
a mummy that was like 11-year-old doing a mummy with their toilet paper. Piss your mom off because you use all the TP in the house.
Absolutely. Comes
Yeti,
lumbering.
Yeti. No fur anywhere. Just a big 7-foot guy wrapped up like a mummy.
Yeah. Not a Yeti.
No,
his name is...
Well, maybe a Yeti is a different species and we could just be wrong.
That's fair.
It's got like terrible skin disease.
Can you imagine
wear bandages.
A science book where they're showing the different cataloging of the Yeti species, and you have the abominable snowman, and then you have a 7-foot guy dressed like a mummy. Oh, boo. The Yeti comes down the ring, lumbering like he has just been reanimated back to life.
I don't think he could bend his knees all the way in that wrap that he had.
Not at all.
Even less frightening.
So he comes out to the ring and he bear hugs Hogan from behind, thereby...
It was not really a bear hug.
No,
it was kind of a caress.
He was... it looked like quite the dry humping.
Yeah, yes.
He looked like an in-heat dog going at Hulk Hogan from the back. Not really squeezing.
No.
I didn't see any evidence of squeezing. So... What the fuck?
I don't know.
This is the best idea they had.
And like, this is shitty enough, like the end of this pay-per-view with this nonsense, that as we have just gone through now, this thing sucked so bad that it took a pretty solid pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And it's on every single person's like top 5 worst pay-per-views of all time. Like, that's ridiculous. It's not at all.
Yeah.
But I understand why it gets there, because this segment was such dog shit. I've never seen anything quite like it.
I think it's got to be the worst ever, right?
It's like Shockmaster in this, but this worse because this is more involved.
This was intentional.
In the main event. Yeah.
Yeah, the main event too, preceded by Who Gives a Shit.
Yeah.
Followed by Why the Fuck.
Exactly.
Finished with Who the Fuck thought of this.
I have no idea who played Yeti. You know.
Like, yeah, it
had to be somebody
we've
seen before.
Even with our combined wrestling knowledge, I didn't fucking know who this guy was.
I wouldn't admit it if I were the guy that played.
You think he gets recognized?
It would have been.
Do you think he goes like out in public and they're like, "Are you the
hopefully he gets
You
recognized
Yeti?
for being like, I don't know, Atom Bomb or whoever the fuck
It was
in
certainly
real
not
life.
Atom
No,
Bomb, no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't think he had another like successful gimmick.
If it was a few years earlier, it definitely would have been Kevin Nash because they gave
Yeah.
him like 10 fucking dog shit gimmicks.
Yeah, they just had to make him.
I watched 3 straight WCW pay-per-views over the last like, I don't know, couple of weeks. Every single one of them, he had a different stupid gimmick. He was a Vinny Vegas, Oz, and then some other super nonsense thing. Like, you guys figure out something to do with the big giant handsome guy.
You just got to make him like trucks.
Yeah.
Hey, I like semi trucks. You're world champ, pal. This was not the end of Hulk Hogan's beatdown. So not only is the Yeti the insurance policy, the mythical insurance policy that has been summoned by the evil magical group of WCW.
Prince Ayake is like not real dad.
Yeah. Who has like vibes of, what was that guy's name in Neverending Story? Like the big rock.
The Rock Biter.
That's what I.
Yeah.
That's what I
It's
thought.
the
This
same
guy.
crumbly skin thing that I was talking about with like the ash and like debris on his face from like 9/11.
Very, very threatening. But so this was supposed to be Sullivan. He was supposed to be the big insurance policy, the Yeti, and then he does virtually nothing. So then, like, he's done for the night. Like, that's the last physical thing he does.
Career too, I think.
Yeah, I think. Because after that, Hulk Hogan gets put in the torture rack by Lex Luger, which looked way better than everything preceding up to that. And, like, that's when Luger was laying at the fuck end still. Because, like, he still had his size on him and everything.
And Hogan's not a little guy.
And then he did it to Savage. Like, he did back-to-back torture racks. And, like, I remember being a kid. I'm like, torture racks, fucking most legit finish ever.
Yeah,
like, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Then the Giant holds up the world title, and then they have to announce because he won by DQ.
It was confusing.
It's like the Giant
really
is
the title holder.
Wasn't it Michael Buffer that was announcing him too?
I think so, yeah.
Because the Giant won by DQ, he is not the world champion. He wins the match, but he's not the world champion. It's like
somebody explaining their joke.
Yeah.
You're like,
I felt like he was calling out a number at a deli when someone wasn't fucking listening. And I'm just like, no, we get it, dude. Like, we're all here listening.
Got it.
Yeah.
Like, you could we're all wrestling fans. You could
Understood.
just say the title doesn't change hands on a disqualification.
Yeah.
The winner of the match by disqualification, the Big Show.
Not enough. Dufresne, party of 3. You can eat when... the arena's emptying after this.
They do that all the time in these old WCW pay-per-views. They like forget to end the show, so they'll like run credits, and then by the time the credits are through, there's like 4 people left in the arena.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
You see half of an arena.
Yeah.
Like, people are walking out.
Not
And
just
Shivani
this.
and...
It's like a regular thing.
It's what they did, huh?
2 pay-per-views ago, by the way, another great thing happened in that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right across from the hard cam and the pay-per-view I'm talking about right now, some dude had his girlfriend up in the fucking torture rack in the middle of the crowd. It was amazing.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, the same thing. It was like Sting won the title, celebrated to no music. It was the time that Luger, like, they put the belt on Luger, and then Luger called him back and said, I was just looking at my contract, and I realized that I've done all the dates that I need to for the year. So they had to just let him sit home for 6 months with the title.
Oh.
So then, like, Sting came back to win it, and he was all pissed about it, like, doing it that way. So Sting leaves with no music. He's just like, hey, I'm the champ. And people are like, yay. And then everybody starts leaving as they're talking. And the credits go for like 15 minutes, and the place is completely empty. And the lights are starting to get turned off.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Shame on them for the guaranteed contract thing. I think that fucked a lot of stuff up. Can you imagine, like, if that wasn't the case, what the actual invasion would have been?
Yeah.
Because all those guys sat home getting, and they had every right to do it, and I would have done the same goddamn thing.
They really shouldn't. They just should never have tried to do what WWE does. That's what killed them. They should have stuck. That's why I'm very adamant about, like, AEW. I don't ever want to see them trying to expand to all quadrants and everybody, because that's what happens when you try to do that, and you're not WWE. You're the wrestling company. Like freakazoids like me, there's plenty of us, enough for you to make money doing that, and like getting 5,000 people in an arena. Focus on that. Keep doing that. That's what you do best.
Right.
And that's what we want to see. It's what I want to see.
Right.
If WCW would have kept doing that and kept evolving, well, like I said, I think they would have been AEW eventually.
Yeah, that absolutely tracks.
I mean, they had like the Great Muta was like his first American match was there.
Wasn't he in the NWO?
Jushin Thunder Liger's first ever American soil match was just like kind of random.
Yeah.
Like Clash of the Champions or whatever. Like they would go after like wrestling styles that you didn't see elsewhere.
I mean,
they would have
the entire cruiserweight division.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's what put them on the map.
It was. And now looking back, like those late '90s cruiserweights, it was like the best stuff they did from that era.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's got to just about do it for Halloween Havoc.
I have nothing. I don't.
95.
Halloween Havoc, 1995.
I would say for our next one, let's do 96, but that's just because it's the pay-per-view I love.
Right.
That Mick Foley and Vader. We'll try to find an actually shitty one for you guys next week. This was a little bit too enjoyable, to be honest. I mean, the end was an absolute dumpster fire, but like the rest of it was pretty solid.
Yeah. It's just like the big piles of shit weighed more than
yes,
like
absolutely
the good nuggets.
But Bobby Heenan is like guaranteed plus 1.5 stars.
I think we need to watch it with Bobby Heenan because he's making the shows too good.
Yeah.
Even WrestleMania 9, it's like he punched it up quite a fucking bit.
Thing about that show too.
Yeah.
But I hated that show way more than this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though this had like nothing but schmoz finishes.
Yeah.
But we'll have something good for you guys next week on Turnbuckle Time Machine. And the Blue Thunder Pod will be back regular scheduled time Friday morning, talking about the comings and goings of major North American pro wrestling in the modern day. Thank you for sticking with us, and hope you come back on Friday.
Good. I like it.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Gotta do your thing. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.